you doing?
Pretty good, man. I'm
Good.
all right today. We got a great show. It's good to see you.
We got a great show. We got a special show. We have two very special guests. Our second guest is the great Carl Capotorto, who played Little Paulie. And our first guest, who I'm going to introduce right now, is a real fan favorite.
Oh,
the
yeah.
show.
A lot of people have been asking
People have been asking for her. When is she coming on? When is she coming on? Here she is today. Born in the Ukraine, studied economics and engineering in college, worked as a model and actress both on stage and on screen. She's appeared in 17 different films and TV shows, including Orange is the New Black, 30 Rock, The Blacklist, Law and Order, CSI Miami. But she will forever be known for the 13 episodes of The Sopranos, where she played Tony Soprano's number one Gumar.
Number one Gumar.
Irina Peltsin, please welcome the amazing Oksana Lada. There she is.
Hey, Oksana, how are you?
Hi guys.
Thank you for doing this.
What an introduction.
Hey, that's you.
It's great to see you. You look, and I'm not just saying this, you look exactly the same.
Oh, God bless you. Thank
20
you.
years later, you look exactly the same. You look fantastic.
Thank you. So you are, guys. So you are.
We're hanging in somehow.
It's nice to be here.
I'm glad.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's been fun, revisiting the show and seeing people who we haven't seen in a while and reminiscing and seeing what's going on and where they're at. And, the fans really have been asking for you. We're not making that up. They're like, when is Oksana coming on? Going through the show, watching those, Steve and I haven't watched the show since it was originally on. So doing the podcast was our way of going back and, watching all the stuff you did. It's great work.
Great work.
Yeah.
Great work.
And there's some of the best episodes that you're in. Really important stuff. It's a big part of the show. Like I said in the introduction, you originally studied economics and engineering. How did you, make that jump into acting?
Well, okay, so here's my story. I did study to be an engineer in oil and gas production in Ukraine. That's correct. And then year number 2, going into my studying economics and engineering, I visited New York. And for some reason, I love the city so much. So I decided to drop out of school, land in New York City with no money, no language skills, no nothing. And it's a true story. And I stayed here, and acting, it was something I always wanted to do back in Ukraine. My parents really didn't want me to study acting, understandably so. So I decided to run away from them and start my acting career in New York. As I was here, I was, trying to survive as a waitress, doing all these things. And I did some theater. There was this small theater in East Village at that time, La Mama Theater.
Sure, it's still there.
And it's still there. Wow.
I used to hang lights there. I was on the lighting crew for a while there.
Oh my God! Yeah. So we had some group, and that group was Virlana group. It allowed to be the plays were more avant-garde, so you didn't really have to speak much, but it included a lot of movement, and I was a dancer, so they've used me quite a bit there. And then I got into modeling because of my dancing background, and that was easy enough. And acting, funny enough, my husband at the time, Slava, he was on the show, actually. That was that Russian guy that scared you so much in the first season.
Slava.
There were two Russian guys.
Yes.
Slava, yes.
That was Slava.
Yes.
That was your husband.
That was my husband.
Right.
Exactly. So he was a trained actor from Moscow, and he was auditioning for Sopranos. And apparently, casting director asked him, "Do you know of any Russian girl that speaks, actress that speaks Russian?" And he said, "Of course I know. That's my wife." So that's how I got into the office of Georgianne Walken.
Wow.
And yes, she liked me, and she said, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna bring you for producer session." And I said, "Okay, that's my first session, right? I barely speak any English still." And I remember walking into the room, and there were like 10 people, I think, or even more. And
Wow.
David Chase was there. I don't even remember who was there, but there were so many people. And all I could remember, I did something. I don't remember what I was doing because I was so petrified and so scared. But people were laughing, so it could have been a good sign or it could have been a bad sign. You know, people can laugh with you or laugh, at you. I came out of that room thinking, okay, that was exciting. I did it. How I did, I don't know. And I got a call that I got a part after.
Wow.
That's how I got my Sopranos role. Yeah, I was very happy about that and also scared because it was my first. I mean, really, like literally, I dreamt of it, but I didn't think it's going to happen to me in a way in the way how it happened to me. So it's really.
Was it season 1 when you first came on?
Yes,
Yeah.
season 1. Mm-hmm.
And do you remember your first scene? What was your first scene? Do you remember?
Yes, my first scene was David Hockney painting.
Oh, yeah.
When I am with Tony in bed, of course. It's either me with him in bed or me on the phone or me throwing something at him, whether it's a candle or shoe or, and always angry at him. It's really funny. My first scene was in bed with Tony. And I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And what I liked about the first season of the show is that it seemed to me, from the observer, everybody was developing the character still. So you guys were shooting for so long, and there were so many takes. And I remember Tony, James Gandolfini, still was working on his character. So my scene supposed to be on at 6, I think, or 8 p.m. We were supposed to start shooting it at 8 p.m., but it started around 3 a.m.
Wow.
That's how long the first shooting was.
Wow.
And, it was incredible. I do remember that day because I was scared. I was so scared. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? But by the time people got to my scene, everybody was just so exhausted that nobody even cared about how I did it. It's just like, okay, we're done. We're done.
They just wanted to get it in the can, yeah.
But,
they just wanted, yeah.
Jim, I'm sure Jim made you feel comfortable, right? I mean, Jim was most of your scenes always were with Jim. Almost all the scenes.
No. He was great. He was great. Yes, he was a bit angry that night though, because I think the scene that they were shooting before, and I don't remember which scene that was, but he was angry about it. Like it wasn't coming the way he wanted it. And I think he was a bit agitated. And me, on first day on the shoot, I was like, oh my God, how did I do? So it was that who was really supportive of me on the show. It was David Chase. I will never forget that. He was my kind of non-verbal mentor on that show. Every time he was on the set, I was like, okay, I'll be great. I'll be great. For some reason, I saw David Chase. I'm like, okay, it was just, somehow it just calmed down. It's really funny stuff.
Did he, was it stuff that he did that made you feel that way? Or stuff that he said? Or what?
He was always very encouraging. He was like, okay, you did good, Oksana. You did great, Oksana. And for me, this was my first job, first experience on a set and working with actors, big actors. I kind of, I guess I needed it. And he always was there for me. It was great. And I loved being on that first season because rehearsal, it felt more like a theater preparation.
You felt that like more in the first season than later on. Later on, it was just kind of... Yeah.
It felt like, like a typical TV show. We're here, boom, 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 boom. You're doing it and it's done. Or at least my scenes, they were not as big as some others, but.
Well, you said you felt like the first season, a lot of time was taken to kind of really develop the characters. People were still kind of working on figuring out who they were.
Yes, and I loved watching that because it reminds me of theater preparations. When you prepare yourself for the scene in theater, and people are searching for that character. Sometimes they struggle with it. Sometimes sometimes it comes out, and I loved watching that.
Did you base Irina on somebody from real life, or what was your way into that character? How did you figure her out? What was your spin on her?
Well, my spin on no, she was not based. I didn't know anybody like Irina, meaning like besides our background. But what I sympathized was that girl, and what I wanted it to maybe play as that character, because all like Russians or Eastern Europeans at that time were always like they're hookers, and that's it. They were hookers, and I wanted it to bring side to her that it's just the girl, and she came to this country and she's alone and she's trying to make it, and and she I wanted her to be vulnerable. I wanted it to be more real. I wanted her to be not just the girl who's just a stripper, and that's how I approached the character.
Well, you definitely did that. What do you think Irina wanted? Like, if she could have had her wishes granted, what would they have been, do you think?
I think she wanted it. She wanted it to be married, and she wanted it to be protected in this country.
She wanted to marry him, Tony Soprano.
She wanted it. She wanted a comfort, and she wanted it somebody that she would feel comfortable in this life. I think that's what she wanted. She wanted it love. Actually.
But you don't know if not necessarily Tony. Just she wanted someone.
She wanted it someone.
She
not
wanted
necessarily
to be loved.
Tony, I think, yes. Tony was this protective figure for her, and she liked that aspect. But also, this violence in him probably was also unsettling.
Yeah.
When Irina calls in season 4, right? When she calls the house in Whitecap.
The last episode of season 4,
you
Whitecap.
call the house, and this AJ, the son, answers. Oh, boy, that was rough stuff. You tell her about Svetlana, and Carmela just almost faints. That's how burned Irina was. That Svetlana slept with Tony, and she made that call. I mean, that is a moment that broke up their marriage. I mean, that was the final straw.
I think that scene was pivotal in terms of how their relationship went after this. Completely. And that was that little scene. And I'm glad writers thought of me, for that scene, because that was basically the relationship were not going well for them anyway at that point. And for some reason, that was that match that just put everything on fire completely. And that was that phone call. And
it seemed like things were about to get better with the two of them, and then you kind of come in and and like you said, lit the match. One of the lines that you say there, you go, "Yes, I'm a piece of shit." So can you imagine where you are in the pecking order? You say to Carmela. It's such a heavy, violent line. You really just kind of cut her to the bone there.
Oksana, obviously you were nervous at the beginning, but then after 2, 3, 4 episodes in, I would assume you felt a lot more comfortable with yourself, with your acting, with the crew, with the cast. Am I right? Did you eventually feel,
yes, of course,
feeling better?
Of course.
Yeah. Because you did great work. I mean, right from the beginning. Yeah. I mean, I'm not just saying that. I mean, you would have never known that you were nervous. I mean, it was good stuff.
That's a magic of acting.
Absolutely.
You're nervous inside, but outside you're just portraying what you need to portray. I think that scene was spectacular. I remember shooting that scene. It was a great scene.
I thought you did really well, and it's not easy to do for acting. And I want to hear what you have to say about this. Steve and I have talked about it a bunch of times. Playing drunk. You know, a lot of people can't, Irina, a lot of times when she called Tony or Carmela even there, she'd had a few vodkas or whatever.
Right.
And, a lot of actors can't pull that off. It's a hard thing to make real, but you managed to really do that. What's your method of approaching those scenes?
No, for drinking? Well, most people, when they drunk, they either become very aggressive or they become very wobbly, they start to think too much about themselves and they go introvert, they become more introverts. And they wobble on their feelings, they're like, oh, and I do this and I do this. That's how I approached it. Basically, for me, it was, okay, so if people drink, either they start to be really aggressive and yell at somebody, or they just become very what would be the words? They just go into themselves and start to pity themselves.
Self-pitying,
if I could, self-pitying, right? So my approach was, okay, so she wants to deliver this message, but yet again, she's unhappy when she's drunk. So she's unhappy and it bothers her. And I worked on how does Irina feels, she feels lack of what? She feels lack of something. She drinks because she feels lack of something inside her. So that's how I think I remember working on it. So,
but you didn't never do those really drinking.
Gosh,
no, that's not a good idea, right? I mean, people think, "Oh, have a drink and I'll give it." It's bad. No. It's bad.
Well, usually, if you're drunk in real life, you're trying to show people that you're not drunk.
You're not drunk, right?
Right? You're trying to hide it, right? When you're drunk, you're having a conversation you don't want the person to know.
I'm fine. What do you mean?
I had a couple.
Yes, but that I'm fine. It comes out, it comes out like you really trying because you're feeling something inside and then you saying what you want to say, right? But inside it's like exactly like I'm done. Yes. Okay. So I'm normal. I'm normal, right?
Yeah.
I'm normal.
Yeah.
Kind of. I'm normal while you're not normal. And that's what I was like, yes. And I'm normal. That's what I think that was a part also.
And then when the stuff I like when you wound up with the assemblyman.
That was a great scene.
Peter
Riegert, and he told us the story that originally David Chase, it was written that they pull his pants down and that Tony hits him with the belt.
He's naked.
He's naked. And he didn't want to do that. And Jim had said, I'm with you either way. And the scene turned out great without him being naked. But that's what that called for originally. But Irina at the time was taking English lessons, going to college. She was going to clean up her act,
I know her life was just turning like for the better, right? And here goes Tony again with his possessive, aggressive behavior, Basically for him, it was like, okay, you're not touching that girl, it was more of that macho character that he portrayed.
Have you been...
Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like we've examined that in a lot of areas.
He's a selfish
character in a lot of ways. I mean, he's generous and protective and giving and loving in a lot of ways too. I'm not going to take that away, but he certainly is selfish.
He's a very selfish character, yeah. Tony
was the Sopranos popular in the Ukraine?
Many people watched it, yes. Yes, my mom didn't see it yet still. She saw me on other TV shows, but not on The Sopranos.
Why not?
So, I don't know. I guess she never gotten to watch it. It's really interesting. But actually, I'm going to ask her why not. On the other hand, maybe it's for the better, me in the bed all the time.
Maybe.
I was like, oh my God, that's why you left Ukraine and went to America?
Right.
Were you, as soon as the show started airing, were you recognized? I would imagine you were recognized everywhere.
Well, that was a bit too much, honestly. I wasn't prepared for it. That was something that was nice at first and then gotten to be really strange. Like, first it was nice, then it was strange, and then I kind of, okay, that's what it is, and I have to deal with it. But to be honest, guys, literally, I was in Miami 2 weeks ago, and I'm seeing, just basically I'm entering the elevator, and the guy comes out of the elevator, and he looks at me. I'm wearing mask, okay? And the guy, he looked like, personal trainer. It was in Hotel One, elevator. He looked at me like, you were on The Sopranos. And my eyes just, opened up. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, how could you recognize me? I'm wearing mask. That's it. That's all you're seeing. And then also people on the street, even now, younger kids now. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, I still get a lot of that. And it surprises me.
A whole
Really
new generation.
Yeah.
A whole new generation, which we've talked about on the show, is watching The Sopranos. Kids in their 20s and 30s and even teenagers. It's a whole slew of people, probably more people watching it now than did back then, because it's more available, streaming and stuff. So 50 years from now, they're still going to be watching Irina with Tony throwing things at her.
Have you been back to Ukraine since? Like, do you go back and visit? Have you been?
Oh, yes, of course. I mean, my parents live there.
Your parents
Everybody lives there.
So do you get recognized there?
Not in my town, really. When I go back to Ukraine, it's only to visit my parents and my sisters. So I don't really, live there. It's just more visit. However, I've gotten recognized in London because I lived in London for a while. So I've gotten recognition there from taxi drivers.
Yeah, the show's very popular in London.
Yeah, really
all over the UK and Ireland.
So I see.
Yeah.
Oh.
Were you the show? I'm like, yeah, Which one?
Do you have anything coming up on the horizon, acting-wise, or?
Well, to be honest, I put acting on the side for the past, 3.5 years, almost 4 years. I was dealing with some personal things, taking care of somebody, of my partner. And now that part of my life is kind of over, unfortunately. He passed away. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I am back. Yes, I guess it's just life. I'm back to New York because I lived in Europe for 3 years, mostly in Europe. I'm back to New York, and I have a little project actually also connected to Mafia. I don't know what's with the Mafia that I may be shooting in April. But other than that, calling my agent, I'm back because she was so angry I'm not, in United States. But now since I'm back, we'll see what happens. I think also the timing and the time for women has changed tremendously. The roles, there are more roles for female characters, in my opinion.
For the better, and rightfully so, yeah.
And I think there are more roles also for foreigners. I wish it would be the case 20 years ago, but it's not. Now we have completely different market, completely different opportunities, and I'm excited about it. It's great. It's
Good.
great.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. I couldn't thank you enough. Thank you so much. You made the fans happy. You made us happy. Thank you. It's great talking to you.
Really good to see you and talk to you.
And good luck with everything really down the road.
Thanks, Oksana.
Really,
we wish you all the best, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon, I hope. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Oksana Lada.
That was great. That was great talking to her. I've met her. I don't know if I was in any scenes with her, but great talking to her. And I'm sure there's some good stuff ahead for her now that she's back, jumping back into the game. She did a really good job, watching her work now. Let's take a little break, and then we'll come back with little Paulie, Carl Capotorto.
Okay, our next guest was born in the Bronx. He is an actor, a producer, playwright, screenwriter, television writer. He wrote for the show Tommy. He wrote on The Deuce. He wrote on Vinyl. His plays have been presented at the Yale Repertory Theater as well as other venues around the country. One of his plays was performed at our theater, Studio Dante, his one-man show, Twisted Head. He's appeared on a number of television shows, including The Deuce, Law and Order. He was in the film Mac, that John Turturro directed. He was in the movie Five Corners. directed by Tony Bill. He was in 24 episodes of The Sopranos. That's a lot of episodes. That's almost, that's a big chunk. As the character, Little Paulie Germani, please welcome our very special guest, Mr. Carl Capotorto.
Hey, Carl, what's up, buddy?
How are you? It's good to see you.
Good to see you, pal.
They're fantastic. I just want to say you guys are making like a real archives that doesn't exist anywhere else, and like an oral history that is going to be very valuable to people. It is now, and it will be in the future. I've been obsessed. I've been watching, I don't know, maybe I watched at least a dozen or so far, and I've got a lot more to go. They're great.
Thank you.
That's cool.
That's nice. Thank you very much.
That's really cool, man.
It's not easy working with Michael. It's fucking hard.
No,
it's fucking hard. You have no idea. Carl, you have no fucking idea what I go through. You have no idea.
And Steve is the breeze. Steve's low maintenance and just, he goes with the flow. That's the thing about Steve. But yeah, I feel like that too. I think it's cool having we're having almost everybody who is involved in the show and just hearing them talk about their experience. I think I think you're right. It is important. It's like a time capsule, for people to just, I'm very happy that we are doing it. I wasn't sure what it was going to be, but I think you're right. I will say that.
And I mean, look, David Chase doesn't give anybody an hour or an hour and a half, whatever that was.
I know.
Absolutely.
I don't think you know this, Carl. I auditioned for the part you played in Five Corners.
You did? For Sal Insley.
It was in Backstage. They had an open call in Backstage. It was on 54th Street near Studio 54, on Broadway. And I waited all day fucking long. It was hundreds of people. I got to the casting people and they brought me back. It was the first time I had a call back. And they brought me back to meet Tony Bill. It was Tony Bill, right?
It was Tony Bill.
And I read for him. And I didn't get the part, but it was the first time I kind of got a call back and met a director, I think, on a movie.
You probably should have gotten it. That was my very first acting. I mean, I had never, ever acted before in my life.
Wow, really?
Never, ever before in my life. I was a writer. I've always been a writer. Never was interested in acting. And then I was at the O'Neill. It was not the O'Neill Theater on Broadway, by the way, just in case people say he never had a play produced on Broadway. I didn't. It's true. It was the O'Neill Theater Center in Waterford, Connecticut, the National Playwrights Conference, which at the time was a really big deal to be invited to go there. They would take 10 playwrights a year. And this was 84 and 85. Lloyd Richards ran it. I mean, that's where, August Wilson got his start, and he was there my 2 summers. And John Patrick Shanley, John Shanley was one of the writers there, right? And we were there together for 2 consecutive summers, 84 and 85. And after, I'll jump over some unpleasant things that happened to me in the interim as a playwright. By the end of, I would say by early 1986, I had a disastrous production. It was my first professional production. It was a catastrophe. And I came home from that like, oh my God, I'll never even write, a grocery list. Like if this is what it's like, forget it. And my phone rang and it was John Shanley. And I knew him very well. We were buddies. And he said, I just sold a movie called Five Corners. There's a role. I want you to go audition for this role. I said, John, I don't act. I've already been humiliated as a writer. Now I'm going to go be humiliated in an audition room. He said, no, do me a favor, just go so the casting people can hear what a real Bronx accent sounds like. Because at that time I had one. No, not like now. Of course, no. But so I did. I went and I really liked that experience. And I thought, I kind of get this in a way that I didn't think I would. They called me back, and then they had me back like 6 or 7 times because they knew I had not acted. And finally they did. They gave me the role, and that started like a little acting career. I started doing 1 movie a year for the next 5 or 6 years.
Did you already know Turturro from
No.
Danny and the Deep Blue Sea? Was he doing that up at Eugene O'Neill? So you met John Turturro on Five Corners.
Yeah, that's where we met, and I knew of him because I knew about Danny and the Deep Blue Sea, and I think that's the only thing I knew. But he made a real splash in that. He and an actress named June I think it was June Stein.
That was a big deal.
Yes,
that play.
that's right. That's right. It sure was. I was walking. We were shooting in Queens, and I was walking from the set to my little trailer or whatever it was, and here he comes in his Hines outfit. He was scary as Hines in Five Corners, a very intimidating character named Hines. And here he comes walking the other way, and he stops, and John with that mug, and he said, "I hate you." And I had never met the guy before, and I said, "You hate me? What did I do?" And he said, "Yeah, I go to dailies, and I'm looking at you, and you make it look so easy." This is what he said to me. He said, "It looks like you're not doing anything." He said, "Do you know how hard I have to work?" I said, "What are you talking about? I'm sweating my balls off up there. I'm dying. I assume everything I'm doing is wrong. I'm about to be fired. It's not easy." He said, "Well, you make it look easy." I said, "John, that's pure terror," which really is what it was. He was seeing terror, and he thought it was ease. And then we became friends. He said, "I want to work with you. I have a play." That all became Mac, the movie Mac.
Right. I was in Mac, in the scene in the car when we chop off the roof.
I wanted to ask you about that. Was that right before Jungle Fever, or?
I think I met John on Jungle Fever, and then it was right after that. I think so. I think the first time I met John was on Jungle Fever in the makeup trailer. It was the first time we met. And Badalucco chops off the roof of the car to make a convertible. And I think it was me, Nicky Turturro, Badalucco, and maybe Jeff Mazzola were in the car together.
Yeah, you're right.
Mac was a great movie. That's a really, really good movie. So that was exciting for me because I knew of John before Jungle Fever. I was a fan of his, and he was really kind to me when I met him on the set. And he said, "Do you want to do something? It's a small thing." I said, "I'll do whatever you want, man." And I was thrilled to be in his movie. It was exciting.
Carl, since I'm a gloom and doom guy, tell me why it was such a disaster, the play. Tell me about that. Come on. I like to hear bad stories, not the bad stories to happen to people, but tell me why it was a disaster.
Okay, so it was it was in 1984. The play I was at the O'Neill with. It was a play called A Child's Tale. And it was a difficult play. It was something I was really reaching for that was beyond my skill level, I think, to be able to write. Sort of expressionistic, kind of based on a dream. But I used the fairy tale structure I used Hansel and Gretel as a kind of overlay. I was reaching for something I wasn't quite able to do, but they really liked it at the O'Neill. And it's a very playwright-centric atmosphere over there. So when it was over, Lloyd Richards, who was, again, this giant of the theater, and he came over to me and at the end of the summer, and he said, "Hey, I want to do your play at Yale at the Winterfest." They had a series of new plays that they did in the winter called Winterfest, and Jimmy Yashimura had a play there that summer, and that winter, a few other people. Okay, great. So I go there, and Steve, I don't know what happened. I was still trying to find the play, and I got caught up in all these politics of Yale Drama School. So the director was assigned to me. He didn't really want to direct that play. He didn't like that play. He didn't get it. The casting, I couldn't get anything I wanted casting-wise because they had political favors to certain students. They owed certain stage time so they were giving me actors who were like not remotely right. And then they just fought me on everything, really everything. I would say, literally, there's a tiny bit of food. It's like a berry. That's all the food. They're in a drought and a famine, in this family of 4. And there's a little berry, and the mother puts it on the table. And then she has a giant fork and a giant carving knife, and she's trying to carve it into 4 pieces. And I was told, no, what you mean is it's a giant berry and tiny fork and knife. I was like, no. Anyway, that went on with literally every detail. I'd say it's 2 levels. I need a short staircase. I mean, they were building an elaborate set. I said, I need like a little loft. And so much of the rhythm of the play had to do with running up and down these little stairs. The kids would sleep up there and they would listen down. The parents are down below. No, it's going to be, what you mean is 1 level. It's 1 long. I was like, no, I don't mean that. Yeah. So little by little, it all went away from me. And then I couldn't figure the play out. I couldn't finish figuring it out. And people hated it. The subscribers walked out. They hated it.
Well, see, that's why, there's a lot of people, a lot of our listeners are actors and people in the business and want to be in the business, and how many variables there are, right, Michael, about it's not always in your control of what turns out good or not good, or the way you want it or not. And like you're saying, politics, college, there's politics with acting. Imagine, professional. You know what I mean? And it's, it's not always in your control. And you had a terrible experience. So this goes on with movies and TV shows, et cetera, as we all know, right?
And that's why The Sopranos was special, because it wasn't that. It was the opposite of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was where everything was done the right way.
Yeah, and David had autonomy almost from the beginning. He did it his way, which obviously was the right way. Now, where did David Chase see you?
Oh, he told me somewhere in the middle of Sopranos, he told me where he saw me was in Mac. He told me quite a bit later at one of our functions, like somewhere in the middle. He just walked up to me out of the blue at one of these parties. He said, "You know why you're on this show?" I was like, "Oh no, what?" And now I'm off. What? You're always waiting for the other. He said, "It was Mac. I saw you in Mac." And he talked about a specific scene, or the kind of big climactic scene in the lawyer's office, where my character Bruno kind of goes off on his brother. He's had enough. He's breaking out from the trio that they have formed. And anyway, he really loved that scene. And so he brought me in. You know what's funny? I did, as I told you, like 4 or 5, maybe 5 or 6 indie movies, which at that time, really ruling the scene. Those movies would blow up. I wasn't in any of the movies that blew up, but I did about 5 or 6 of them, ending in Mac. Mac, which we did that in 1992. That ended, and no more. Nothing happened. I didn't get any more offers. If I went to audition, didn't get it. And I thought, that's fine. It's fine. I'll continue focusing on writing. I'm going to let acting come in out of my life as it wants to. And that's what I did. And I focused on writing. So then fast forward like 8 years later or something, really, like 7 or 8 years after Mac. I'm in my apartment. I lived at the time in Hell's Kitchen. And here comes the phone rings, and it's Georgianne Walken. And she says, and I knew her a little bit from the old days, and she said, "What are you doing right now?" I said, "Just in my apartment." But she said, "Where's your apartment?" It's over here. She said, "That's very near my office. Come over right now. Come to my office right now." Okay. I go to her office right now. She hands me like a short phone book full of scenes. And she says, go look at these scenes. Go in the other room, look at these scenes. And then come back and ask me questions. And then tomorrow, come back with all these scenes memorized. Wow. And I'm going to put you on tape. It's like, what the hell? It wasn't for little Paulie. It was for a role that you would think it's bad casting, but David was trying something out. It was for the role of Ralphie, Cifaretto. Oh. Strange casting, but he had an idea, I guess, about going against type or whatever. He saw something that he wanted to try out for Ralphie. So I read these scenes, I'm like, holy cow. I mean, everything was in there. I don't know if they wrote those scenes out of context first in order to audition people or what. But I mean, the killing of the hooker with the golf club was in there. Many of the major scenes that you remember of Ralphie were already in this pack of scenes. Wow. And I go in the other room and I read, and I'm like, holy cow. And I come out, white as a sheet. She's like, any questions? I said, yeah, I got nothing but questions. What? She said, listen, David really likes you. What she said was, David really wants to like you in this role. So go home, memorize those scenes, and come back tomorrow and knock it out of the park. It's like, holy
pressure.
Cow.
That's pressure.
Pressure. So I stayed up most of the night, as you do. And I was just doing like magical, like, how am I going to pull this toward me? Like, I was finding shortcuts, how to segue from, rage to rock and tour. One scene, he's beating someone to death. The next scene, he's telling a big joke. But I was like, and I go in and I do it, and I get a call back. P.S. I got like 5 or 6 callbacks.
Really?
They kept having me back with listen to this, with escalating urgency, right? So that toward the end, I'm now out at Silver Cup with, that room full of people. They do all the HBO people, producers, directors, writers. And finally, Georgianne calls me and she says, Carl, they love you. David loves you. He's going to find something for you. It's not this. It just doesn't. You read younger than Jimmy. You read like, we don't believe you as his nemesis, but there'll be something for you. Hold on. Okay, I went and crushed. Okay. 2 weeks later, maybe 3, I'm in the Bronx. I'm in front of my mother's house. I'm sweeping the sidewalk in front of my mother's house.
Yeah.
And here comes, my phone rings. It's the old flip phone, flip it up. Hello. Georgianne Walken. Hi, Carl. Georgianne. Where are you right now? This is always how she opens her call. Where are you right now? I said, I'm in the Bronx. I'm sweeping my mother's sidewalk. She said, okay, put the broom down and get on the train and get over to my office. You're going to read again for Ralphie. I said, what do you mean you hired somebody? She said, we hired somebody. It's not working out. They're going to look at you again. So what would you think? I thought, well, it's mine. It's coming back to me because it's mine.
Sure,
I went
of course.
Like another 4 auditions.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
I never knew this.
Yeah, no, I didn't talk about it. I don't think I've ever talked about it publicly, honestly, because I think enough time has passed. I don't know if somebody will take offense that I'm telling this story, but I actually love this story. No, I don't. I hope not. But they were very decent about it. She did say again. She said, David, the reason you've come back so much is David is crazy about you. So that's the good part. The bad part is it's not this role. We're going to find something. And then a few weeks later, she called and she said, we're going to offer you this role of little Paulie. And I said, do I have to come in and audition? And she said, you have auditioned your little ass off.
Oh, that's good.
No more auditions. So,
but Bobby Finero, who played Eugene, he told us originally that he read and got the role of Ralphie.
he did.
And whatever, that didn't work out for whatever reason, or they went a different way. But at the time, you got gray hair now, but back then, I mean, this is 20 years ago. You looked much younger. Younger than Jim, so I could understand that,
Yeah.
But the urgency and the pressure, and of course, the minute they say he loves you, we all know what the fuck that means. When they tell you they love you, you don't get the role. You don't get the role. They love you, but
they love you, but right. I want them to hate me at one time.
Yeah, I'd rather them say, yeah. You ain't getting this. They hated you. It's hard to swallow when they say, you did a great job. They love you. You're not going to get the role. I mean, it's just like, it's
tough. Yeah. You know what's funny? One of the last auditions they did, they said, okay, they're going to, they really seem to be moving in the direction of hiring me, because they said, we're going to actually put you on tape with Jimmy. So we want to see how you play against him. And I knew him a tiny bit from the downtown theater scene long before this, And Georgianne, who I love, and her episode of this, she and Sheila Jaffe, that was a joy. I loved those stories, man. And I love Georgianne, and both of them. But Georgianne with Sopranos was more hands-on with me. In any event, she said, listen, I'm going to give you a tip. She said, when we audition people against Jimmy, here's what they do. He's very intimidating, just when he's in character, and he just stands there like a mountain. And what every actor opposite him does is they start shifting from foot to foot, and they start looking around, and she said, don't do it. Plant yourself, give him your face, give him your eyes, and just do it face to face. I said, thank you, Georgianne, got it. And I get in there, and we're doing the scene, and so suddenly I realize I'm shifting from foot to foot. I'm looking around. I realized I was doing exactly what she told me not to do, because he was a lot. His presence was a lot. And I was nervous.
Yeah. Well, it worked out. So you get the role of Little Paulie, and your first scene is with Big Paulie, correct?
I think he was in that scene. Yeah.
And what was it like the first time you met Tony Sirico, Big Paulie?
Well, the very first time I met Tony was before I started actually working. I was at Silver Cup, and they were testing looks, and apparently David had drawn a little sketch of what he wanted from Little Paulie, and he wanted a silver streak, which I think my hair has copied. Thanks a lot. But he wanted a silver streak, and he wanted him dressed like Paulie, especially the running suit look with the white shoes or sneakers and pinky ring. And he wanted. Okay, so they were trying out this look, and I'm walking through the studio wherever they were sending me with my hair done like that, with a thing in it, with a running suit, with the white sneakers and a pinky ring. And here comes Tony Sirico coming the other direction. And he stopped in the hallway and he said, "Hey, that's my look." My look. And he said, "No." I said, "No, I know." I said, "You know why? That's because I'm Little Paulie. You're Paulie. And then I'm Little Paulie. Little Paulie." And he said, "Oh, you're like a mini me." And I said, "Yeah."
Yeah. A mini you. But what did they describe? Was Little Paulie related to Paulie Walnuts, or was he like a protege, or what was
Nephew.
He's called his nephew, and I asked David a little bit about that once, like maybe you know how you do to entertain yourself. Am I related on the mother's side, on the whatever? He said, "You know what it probably is? It's probably that he was an old friend of your father's who's probably not around anymore, and he's always been like an uncle, and you call him Uncle Paulie. It may not be blood." That's what I was.
Yeah, well, that's what a lot of Italians do. A lot of Guineas, myself included. Your uncle, your cousin.
Right.
Everybody's your cousin. Even though you're not even close to being a cousin. He's a cousin of mine. He's an uncle of mine. Guineas do that, and then they also sweep the sidewalk. Only Italians sweep the sidewalk.
Oh, I had that place spotless, and then I would hose it down. Hose it down.
Yeah,
my niece, I was working out there for too long, and they were waiting for me to come into dinner, and my niece came out and she said, "Carl, this is outside. Like, you don't have to, it's not inside your house that you have to clean it like this."
So Little Paulie was famous for telling Paulie in jail about, he started it off by telling the Ginny Sack 95-pound mole on the ass joke. That was Little Paulie who started that whole fire.
Which set in motion a very difficult chain of events for a lot of people.
It did. Here's my question. Why was I never taken to task for that? I kept waiting. When I saw how that snowballed, I was like, oh, Little Paulie's going to have to. There's a big scene coming up where Little Paulie has to answer. Never. I thought I'd have to answer for that, but no, never.
Carl, what was your favorite memory from being on the show? I mean, we had a lot of laughs, all of us. We went to the award shows and all the parties. I mean, like we've talked about time and time again, you had to be there, but it was a lot of fun. I'm sure, you were a member in good standing, I know. What was your favorite memory?
Well, if we talk about off-camera favorite memory,
either one.
It was I've got an off-camera, and I think I have an on-camera, but off-camera has to have been the Radio City Music Hall premiere, when I think it was the final season, and we just all ended up going on stage, and there was that fantastic party later all around the skating rink, and I think it was the last one, the final
Rockefeller
premiere.
Center,
and I think I have my favorite memories are from that. For some reason, David Chase. I was not at the level of cast. I'm very realistic, and I know that I was not at the level of cast where I needed to be at those awards trips. Yeah, the premieres, sure, but not on those awards trips. There's no reason I should be on the Emmy trip and the Writers Guild Award and the Gold. I was on all of them for many seasons. I don't know. David Chase decided I was a fun part of the entourage. He liked having me around, and he made sure I got invited. And I was like, I'm not going to ask questions. I'm just going to go. Those are really some of the funnest memories of my freaking life. Oh my God, those were all such a blast. But I think, funnily enough, I think my favorite stuff when I think about what did I love shooting? I loved the action stuff. I love getting beaten up, work like you. Actually, I'm thinking specifically, Michael, of you, Christopher, beating me up and then throwing me out the window.
Oh, right. There's a card game. Were you playing cards at that point? Yeah.
I loved doing that whole episode because really I had a lot to do in that episode, which little Paulie didn't always have a ton to do. But in that one I did, and I loved it. But that scene, somehow working it out with you, working out the choreography, the little bit of danger that is involved, I really enjoyed that stunt work, going through the window. I didn't go through the real window from 3 stories up, but I went through a candy glass window in the studio and fell onto a mattress. And Michael, you were so great because you can get hurt. And I remember just very easily, very quietly with me, we'd go mark the choreography over and over and over again, just quietly off to the side. Yeah. And you were very big on I don't want you getting hurt. So by the time we did it, it was we both knew exactly what the moves were going to be. That was really fun. The technical part of it was fun for me.
Well,
did somebody go out the window? Did a stuntman actually do the fall? I don't remember. Yeah,
they sure did. Yeah, into a green screen airbag, into an airbag.
Wow,
they did.
Little Paulie was with Benny a lot, right? Little Paulie and Benny handled a lot of business. Who else? Who else did you work with a lot?
Well, actually, Christopher and I kind of hung out. We were friends until he decided to throw me out through a window through no fault of my own. I was carrying out orders.
I tried to hook you up with Lola Glaudini's character, Danielle Deborah, right?
You did. Yeah, we hung out. I loved the foursome. Sometimes we'd go out as a foursome, you and Adriana and me, and I forget who that was.
Deborah. But Danielle.
Danielle. But yeah, I don't know. There was a character named Dogsy or
Dogsy,
what's his name? DeMeo, Willie DeMeo played for a while. I had a little crew that involved Willie DeMeo. I don't know. I was mostly with my uncle. I think of myself as an appendage of my uncle, of Tony, most of the time. You tried to hook me up with the woman who was the FBI agent.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't know that, but yeah.
You didn't know that, of course.
I don't think Dre finds out at some other point in time. So she didn't know either. But yeah. And then she's not interested, and I'm like, I think she's a lesbian because she doesn't want to go out with you. Or something. Yeah.
That what the funniest thing about that is, yes, you tell her because something's off with this woman, right? And you and Adriana have that scene, and you say that I think she's a lesbian. I think she's and Adriana's like, what are you talking about, Christopher? What do you mean she's a lesbian? Like, what? What he and you say, I actually love this line. And you say, well, I mean, I introduced her to little Paulie. She wasn't interested. And Andrea says, oh yeah, like he's Jude Law.
Right.
Yes. Just
right. Exactly. And that was a funny line.
Carl, then you started what? After the show, you wrote on vinyl? Tommy,
yeah.
Did you write on Tommy also?
I did.
That's with Edie's show on CBS.
Yeah, we both those shows, Vinyl and Tommy, got canceled after one season. And you may say, what's the common denominator? Carl wrote on both those, but I had nothing to do with either. Vinyl was a blast. Oh my God! But there were a lot of politics. That was a giant show. An awful lot of money was being spent. There were titanic personalities involved, Scorsese, Mick Jagger, HBO itself as a big entity. And so behind the camera, were these, I think, turf battles and so on. And I think that Terry got caught. Terry Winter, best man in the world. I love that. We're very good buddies. And I just love that guy. I think he got caught up in it. And the whole thing went bluey, and I don't know why. When I watch it now, I go, yeah, I can critique this season now. We would have found maybe it was like the volume was turned up a little high on that first season. You would have relaxed a little in the second season. We would have found our groove. I love the season, but if you want to critique it, you can. Still, give us a second season. You spent all this money. Let us work it out. Yeah. Bobby Cannavale was fantastic. Ray Romano did, I thought, the work of his life up until then. He was absolutely spectacular. Olivia Wilde was really great. You give a show like that a chance, but they didn't. So what came after that? Nothing for a little while, and then The Deuce came, and then did
good
2
show.
Seasons on.
I like The Deuce. Good
show, and then overlapping with the end of The Deuce was Tommy, and Paul Attanasio created that show. He created it with Edie in mind. And Edie, when he was asked, well, are there any writers that you want to bring on? She very graciously said one name. She told me later. I gave him one name. It was yours. So I flew out to L.A. I met with him, met with the network people, and I did get that job. I went in, and we got canceled after a season. Damn it.
Yeah. And now you're writing a movie? Are you writing a movie with Terry? You're doing something, right?
Terry and I are writing a screenplay. We wrote it. It was originally for Netflix. I'm not sure it's going to stay there. But when Vinyl ended, Terry was like, look, I miss the writer's room. I miss seeing you every day. I said, yeah, that's because it was such a short period. You'd get sick of that. He said, let's form our own two-man writer's room, write a screenplay. Well, okay. And that's what we did. We got the rights to a David Grand kind of true crime story, a feature article that had appeared in the New Yorker. We got the rights to that. We adapted it, and it's still kicking around. We'll see what happens to it.
Oh, that's great, man. Carl, I couldn't thank you enough for doing this. It's great seeing you.
Thanks for being here, man.
It really is. I always like seeing you. We always had a lot of laughs. You're a good cat. Keep up the good work. Good luck down the road, and we'll see you soon, man.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, my friend. Right. Really, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it. There you go, little Paulie. Carl Capotorto. That's a good fucking guy right there. I like him a lot.
So, big talent.
Yeah, really good guy. And let's take a break and get back into the episode there.
All right. Season 5, Episode 2. This is called Rat Pack. First aired March 14th, 2004. First episode written by Matthew Weiner. Out of the 12 he did, I didn't realize Matt also directed Orange is the New Black. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Apparently he did. Directed by Alan Taylor, who directed the Mad Men pilot. So this was the beginning of a beautiful friendship, apparently. This is number 3 out of the 9 that Alan Taylor did. And just to get people up to speed, the Rat Pack was... Frank Sinatra was the head of the Rat Pack, right? And it was Dean Martin, Sammy Davis...
Joey Bishop,
and
who Peter was a Lawford. Peter Lawford.
Angie Dickinson was like the female,
and Shirley MacLaine.
Shirley MacLaine, not Angie. Shirley. Right?
No, I think maybe Angie Dickinson also. They were honorary members, and they played Vegas. They played together. Obviously, they did
Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 11, where they worked at night and shot this thing in the daytime and whenever.
So they were doing.
Their nightclub act at night, and then doing the movie at the same time. How insane was that?
Right, because they would be up all night after
drinking, shooting, running around. So it was. And Ocean's 11, the original, I think, is the best one.
It's a fun movie. Yeah,
it's a really good movie. Kind of put Vegas on the map.
Robin and the Seven Hoods, was that?
That was another good one. That's not well. Who was that?
Not the whole Rat Pack, is it?
Well, who was in that? Sammy Davis.
Frank.
George
Raft.
Obviously Peter Falk. Dean Martin in that? I don't know.
I don't think so. Maybe
I don't remember. One of my favorite movies. And who was the guy at the beginning? He played King Tut on Batman.
That's Victor Bono.
Yeah.
Was great. I love Victor Bono.
Yeah. Robin and the Seven Hoods was great. Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby. That's a good one.
Right?
The Soprano, when we were banging around and traveling a lot to the casinos and AC in Vegas and with all of us, it had that kind of, what I imagine what that feel was like. Being,
I can't imagine the Rat Pack drinking more than us.
More than us?
I can't imagine it. I'm not just saying that. I mean, we would start very early and then go for 8-9 hours. I mean, I'm not proud of it, but we were having a good time.
I'm a little
having
proud
fun.
of it.
I'm glad we did it because I can't do it now.
We certainly had a lot of fun and a lot of laughs.
We traveled and would go to whatever casino, start early, meet the high rollers, have fun, do the appearances, go out afterwards,
gamble,
lounge acts, gamble, go see some acts. Saw Tom Jones, which was great. We got to see him in Vegas. They comped 16 of us into the show and went backstage, and that's where we found out Tony Sirico and Tom Jones dated the same girl.
Not at the same time.
Not at the same time. So, no, but I can't imagine. But maybe, all these guys, they smoked like crazy. They drank very heavy, and they lived pretty long lives, into the relatively 70s and 80s, heavy smokers.
Heavy smokers, they you get the feeling that they just liked each other and liked being together, which we did,
they were hanging out and having a good time. So we started out at Napoleon's Diner.
That's in West Caldwell. No, it's a diner, actual diner in West Caldwell.
West Caldwell, New Jersey.
Napoleon's brother owned land in New Jersey.
Really?
We spoke about that. He owned land near the Pine Barrens, and he claimed to have seen the Jersey Devil. You know that.
I'm going to start with this.
I'm not going to start. I'm just telling you. That's why they called it Napoleon's Diner. He owned land there.
So what's that got to do with seeing the Jersey Devil?
Well, he claimed to have seen it.
Was he short too, Napoleon's brother?
I don't know.
Was he little?
That's a good question. Somebody owns Napoleon's penis. Did you know that? They bought it at an auction.
You mean his cock?
You can whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's owned by a collector, actually.
His penis, and it's still alive. You're telling me
it's not
out
alive.
And about. No, I didn't mean alive. It's out and about. You could see
in
it.
A box. I don't know if it's on display. I think it might be owned in a private collection. But I think
it's in a box.
It's in a.
Is it like a big box or a little box? So like a box, like a wedding
bread box,
like a wedding ring box.
It's like in a little kind of container. I mean, I think it was in the Guinness Book of World Records. At one point, it was the most expensive body part ever auctioned off, or something like that.
And how do they preserve it? Are you putting me on?
No, Andy.
Are you putting me on?
No, I'm not.
Is it in formaldehyde?
I don't think it was. I think it was just in the box.
You sure it's not a thumb?
No, it's not a thumb. It was his penis.
So it's in a. Is it in a Tupperware, a box, a jar?
I don't think they had Tupperware back then. I really don't. Maybe it was in formaldehyde.
And when did someone buy it?
I think sometime in the mid 20th century, if I'm not mistaken.
And is it in a museum? Is it in a safe deposit box? So is it on a shelf in someone's house? Is it in the cupboard? Where is Napoleon's penis? Buzzard?
I think it's it's in a
We'll call it
private
for
collection.
everyone out there. They don't like the dirty words. It's a penis. It's a buzzard. It's a cock.
Buzzard.
A buzzard. A salami. A little superside.
Boudin.
Do you
How
think
do you
that?
say boudin in French?
How tall was Napoleon?
It was purchased by John K. Latimer in 1977, still held by his family.
No pun
There you
intended. No pun intended.
You see, you think I'm fucking around. Napoleon
was he's 5'6".
5'6".
He wasn't that short.
But he had giant balls.
What are you, like 5'5"? 5'5"?
5'9", 5'10".
Okay.
His brother was 5'2".
Wow. He had giant balls?
I mean, look, he became the emperor of France.
Okay.
He was a general.
Not giant testicles, giant
Maybe,
balls.
but it looks like a piece of leather or a shriveled eel.
Oh, okay.
That's what happens after.
I'll never doubt you again. I
after
can't believe
200
I'm
years.
kind of flabbergasted, but I don't get what they're going to do with it. Will people pay
They
for
can
that?
just say it's
but-
bragging rights.
well,
I got
people-
Napoleon's car.
So they have you think they have dinner? They invite people over, then they pass it around after coffee.
You want to see it?
You want to see?
You want to see it?
Who wants to see Napoleon? Raise your hands. Who wants to see Napoleon's cock?
It looks like a piece of beef jerky, is what I
Got to
think.
be careful. Someone will take a bite out.
Exactly.
Of it. That could be a problem.
You
Or
don't
the
wanna do
family dog gets it.
But
All right,
Steve,
so I think that they should show it. I think people would pay. Would you pay to see it?
I would pay.
How much would you pay?
I don't know.
$10?
$20? $20.
$20?
Yeah. It's
To
worth
see it.
Yeah. How much would you pay?
I'd give it $20, $25. I'll take a peek. It's stupid because how do we know it really is his cock? It could be an eel.
No.
How do we know?
Listen, I mean,
Come on, how do you know?
it's authenticated.
By who? His wife?
Probably by the French government.
Well, how would they know? Pay $3,000 for it.
$3,000. That's cheap.
Yeah. What do you think it's worth now?
I thought it was like $3 million.
What do you think it's worth? $3 million for Napoleon's dick? Really?
I mean, it's
Would you pay
Napoleon.
$3 million for that?
I wouldn't pay $3,000 for it.
Would you? You worship a lot of different people than I do.
A lot of dictators and
Yeah. Who would you?
women.
How much would you pay for somebody's?
I wouldn't pay
penis?
anything for it. I don't want
For
it.
anybody's penis. Anybody like famous person, a writer, an actor, Marlon Brando. Would you pay for? You're a big James Dean fan. Would you buy his penis?
No, I wouldn't buy anybody's. I think it's kind of a dumb thing.
Okay.
It's kind of fascinating that someone actually owns it, but I wouldn't. I have no interest in that.
Okay. So James Dean penis for sale. You're out. You don't want nothing to do with it.
So, Crying by Roy Orbison is playing. You know, Crying by Roy Orbison is on Mitt Romney's 10 favorite songs of all time.
Who gives a shit about Mitt Romney?
I'm just saying, it is
I don't
on the
care
list.
about him.
Well, it's on the list.
But where did he come from? Where do we care about him?
I'm just telling you, man. I'm full of a lot of information.
Yes, I see.
Okay.
Tony meets with Jack. Tony's sitting there waiting.
Jack Massarone, yeah.
Black Jack Massarone. He's been around. Robert Desiderio. He's married to Judith Light, who was on Who's the Boss? Tony Danza's.
I thought Judith Light was married to Jerry Della Femina, no?
Well, maybe this is a different. Maybe I'm pronouncing her name wrong. But the actress, she does a lot of Broadway.
Yeah.
She was the wife of Tony Danza. He was the housekeeper. It was her house. Andy, get me the right pronunciation. That's his wife.
Okay.
All right.
Does Tony order, what is that, pecan pie or pumpkin pie? What does that look like to you?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you,
Not
do you
pumpkin.
like, what kind of pie do you like?
I like both of them.
You like pecan? I like pumpkin pie.
I like pumpkin pie.
Do you
but
like
only,
apple pie?
I like apple pie.
You know what I just
cheesecake.
got in a package in the mail?
I'm not
Michael Rispoli, who we love, who played Jackie Aprile Sr., sent me that he made maple syrup and fig strawberry jam. The best maple syrup I've ever had in my entire life, from his own vanilla maple trees, upstate New York,
Wow.
and fig strawberry jam. It was phenomenal. Some of the best I've ever had.
Is he selling that? Is it on the market?
He should, because it's the best I've ever had.
Judith Light.
So
1985.
who's Jerry Della Femina married to?
I don't know, but I like Jerry and I like his wife. I've
I
met
like
them
Jerry,
both.
too.
And I like Jerry Della Femina very much, and I like his wife. She's very nice. Is Michael Rispoli going into the maple syrup
He
business?
should, man, because there ain't I've never tasted anything like this. I'll
Did
be
you
honest
put him
with
on
you.
pancakes?
I put it on yogurt with berries. I didn't make
yeah?
pancakes, but it was. I don't have a stove yet. I got to get a new stove. But it was really good.
Oh, nice.
Judith Licht, not Judith Light. I'm close.
All right.
I'm
And
not
I like
too far
Judith
off.
Licht. I like her very much. She's a very nice woman. And I like Jerry. Jerry went to the same high school as me.
And
mean,
the Three
obviously-
Stooges, right?
No.
Didn't the Three Stooges go to your high
That's
school?
public school. So you're mocking. You're fucking mocking.
What mocking? You're the one who told me.
PS 163, that's where the Three Stooges went. Okay.
That's not a high school. That's
No,
elementary school.
It's an elementary
Okay,
school.
all right. Well,
Lafayette
I can't keep
High
track
School.
of everywhere you went to school.
Lafayette High School, Larry King, Sandy Koufax,
Okay, where'd the Three
John
Stooges go to
Franco.
high school?
I went there.
Where did they go?
Paul Savino went there, and Jerry Delafamino.
But
went.
where did the Stooges go? Aren't they in the same district?
I don't know if they went to high school there. Maybe they dropped out. They're kind of fucking moronic, you know what I mean? I don't know if they made it through high school. And it was just Shemp and Mo. It wasn't Curly, whose name was Jerry.
And Larry.
Larry was not part of the family. I don't know where Larry grew up. Larry happens to be my favorite stooge.
Really?
I have a statue of him that I've had for 30 years. It's to come with me for years. I have a statue of Larry Fine. It's like this big. He's wearing a tuxedo. And I have it in my house in California. Nice, thick.
I never knew that about you.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So Jack is talking about the Museum of Science and Trucking. He's wearing a hat. The Museum of Science and Trucking is going to open in Newark. He's asking for info about Zellman. And he won't take off his hat because he says he's doing the Rogaine, but we find out later the hat's wired.
Yeah, he said the Rogaine. He talks, okay, a couple of things here. One, Tony.
Larry Fine went to high school in Philly, Central High in Philly.
Tony Soprano has got a very pronounced accent in this scene. A little different accent.
Tony Soprano.
Yeah, a little different accent than he's had in...
A little heavier?
A little heavier.
Really?
Jim is having a little heavier accent here. He's asking about Zellman. He says we don't talk much. He's not even giving it a second thought, Tony Soprano. He orders the pie. He's saying, this is federal redevelopment. Is it going to be the same deal? He's trying to get information out of him. Now, he says, take your hat off. Relax. He says, I'm using Rogaine. Then he says...
Why can't you take your hat off if you're using Rogaine?
Well, because, you got the cream on it, whatever.
You leave it on?
You leave it
cream?
on. Yeah. So I think when he talks about his mother, and he says, I'm doing a speech, and I think my mother would be proud wherever she is.
Right.
And he says, it's hot where she is, meaning his mother's in hell.
His mother was...
Tony says, what? You
had one of those.
I think he's lying. I think he's trying to get...
good point. He's trying to get in with Tony.
Correct. Let's bond over this. We both had shitty mother deals.
Yeah.
He's going, what's the big deal? Ever had a prostate exam so you were pregnant? I think it's bullshit. And he knows, everyone knows...
That's a really good point.
Olivia,
I didn't think of that.
Everyone knows Olivia was a wacko. So I think that's,
good idea.
That was he was trying to do it.
Very sharp. Then we cut outside. We see the feds are outside the diner. They're watching. We go back in. He gives him kind of a shitty painting of the Rat Pack.
Very
it's
shitty.
kind of bad art. Tony says, I usually don't like modern art, but he likes that. Now the song is a different song. It Hurts to Be in Love by Gene Pitney, and the line is cry a little bit. It was just crying. So what's this, this crying thing is on the music for some reason.
There's a lot of those Rat Pack shitty things going around.
Yeah,
there's a lot out
of
there.
that.
Rat, you can find them on the streets of New York everywhere.
Now the painting's not bugged.
No, it's in the hat.
Because at first I thought maybe both are bugged, the hat and the painting. The painting to get in his house.
It would be hard to bug the painting. Where would you put it?
Yeah.
The back is open.
Yeah.
It's in the hat. That's why he won't
It's in
take
that.
the hat.
No, I know it's in the hat, but
he likes it. Tony likes, especially after he said that he likes Jack Masserone.
He likes Jack Masserone. They've made a lot of money together.
They've done business together.
Obviously.
Agent San Severino's car. Adriana meets with her, and Agent Jeffries. She's asking her about a Joey Kogo. She said, "Have you ever met him? I met him last week." Now here's a little something. She says, "I met him last week at a restaurant with Tony and his friend Valentina. He sent over a bottle of Verve, of champagne." You don't usually bring the Gomara, Valentina, around
a wife or a
around.
steady,
This is fiance.
You bring her around if Christopher was with his Gumar.
Very much so. Right. They don't mix.
You sharp today, my friend.
They do not mix.
I didn't catch that. You're 100% right. He would never bring a date. Well, wait. No, they're separated.
Okay. All right. Good point.
So he's technically not cheating because they're not together. They're not living together.
All right. Good point.
She shows the mugshot. That's Anthony Baldessari, who was one of our prop people.
Great guy.
Anthony made the famous prosciutto tongue for Cosette the dog. Yes, he did.
He's a good man, a Long Island guy. He's still out there working, I believe. Very dry sense of humor, very quiet, beautiful family man. I like Anthony a lot. Everyone really liked him. I remember Jim used to always say to him, "Oh, you're good. You're good."
Yeah, that's right.
Adriana, she, that's what I'm saying. But she knows now. She's privy to Carmela Gumar. As we see later on, how they're talking about Tony. Carmela's talking about Tony. Very personal stuff in front of Janice.
Yeah,
that's another thing. Very intermingled. They're very incestuous.
It certainly is.
FBI office, Ray Curto. He's a freeloader, Ray Curto.
Ray Curto, George Loros did a great job, I thought, with Ray Curto. He made him very specific. He's got a tape of Tony Soprano. He's in deep with the feds, and Tony's yelling. It was that scene they had in the back. It was the back room of the...
About Junior.
It was in the
uncle. And he's, you got to step up. And
you got to crack heads.
It was... he says, "What about my Alan Stewart shirt? Ralph Cifaretto spilled coffee on it and ruined it." He said, "I could petty cash it." And he's always looking for a little angle. I mean, what could they be paying him? I mean, what do you get paid as a snitch? Does anyone know?
It's not a lot.
Not a lot of money, right?
No, because, you're making a deal for them not to prosecute you.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they have shit on him. That's how they got him there.
I don't think you make so much money. San Severino and Agent Chiccarone, they're watching the Crazy Horse camera footage.
Paulie Walnut's car is parked there.
She's still lying. So what is she lying about? That if Paulie comes around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's lying about Paulie. Massarone is a huge asset, but he's not really given, we have Dan Castleman, who was our technical advisor, who's playing the...
Who does a pretty good goddamn job.
He's playing the DA.
I mean, he's not an actor, and he does a good job.
Yeah, and they want Tony on trial. They want to figure out how they got to a juror, and right now they don't have anything on Tony.
And he says, get those citizen is a felon. Get the fucking juror. He's telling them. And Cubertoso says, after Castleman leaves, he says he just fucked up his 6-figure salary with a big law firm. Mm-hmm. So that's why he's pissed off, because he blew that trial. Big trial. Big public trial, a lot of publicity surrounding, a lot of money, Ray Curto is a freeloader. He's always looking for a handout. We're at Junior's house.
FBI informant may earn as much as $500,000 a year. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
As much, but that depends. I mean, that's relative.
Guess what kind of
they ain't paying Ray Curto $500,000 a year. I mean, it depends what he's getting, what they're getting from him, I would imagine.
500. I mean, I would think there would be even more snitches at that price.
We're in the wrong business.
Yeah, let's start snitching. Feach and Bobby are there.
Junior's house. Feach calls Tony John Barrymore.
Now, why is that? I was trying to figure that out. What is this? John Barrymore was an alcoholic actor.
But he was, I guess, a good-looking guy, a big guy.
Is that what he means? Is that what that's about?
Yeah, I think he's flattering him. Bobby's there. He's brought over. They're making dandelion salad. Now, dandelions, a lot of... I remember people in my family, they'd get off the side of the highway. They would pick them sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. And some people call it chigoria, but that's chicory. I don't know if it's the same thing, if it's dandelions or chigoria, but if it's... done right in a salad, I love it. It's delicious.
In my neighborhood, a lot of there was, obviously it was all Italian back then, and a lot of the Italians would grow basilico, basil and squash, and they had all these gardens, and all these kind of things. And my mother would always go, hey, go knock on Mr. So-and-so's door, see if he's got some extra basil, and they would give.
But I don't think dandelion was grown specifically like basil planted.
No. I'm just saying, but that's what
dandelion's like a weed. That would grow anywhere, and the Italians.
So Junior's eating it in the salad. Bobby's cooking over there at the stove. Tony comes in. Aunt Quintina's gonna call the moment Tony B gets out. Feach says, "So your cousin's getting out. He's a good kid, huh? He's smart." It's more like a question. I don't think he knows.
Feach is nosy.
I don't think he knows Tony B. Feach.
No, they missed each other.
Been in jail for a long time.
They're saying later in the episode they missed each other at Leavenworth.
Tony B's been in jail 15 years, which
15 years.
An enormous. So he picks dandelions. Tony's breaking Junior's balls. Dogs piss all over in that lot. He says, "I got a beautiful dandelions in an empty lot." He's breaking Junior's balls, who has no humor whatsoever. He's just, minute Feach leaves.
And Junior says about Tony B, he's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah. If you ask me. He's a good kid, your cousin's smart. He's a weirdo, if you ask me. They talking, Feach tells him, Tony tells Feach, we're going to set him up with the airbag.
Well, Feach asks, like I said, Feach is nosy. He wants to know what Tony B's getting.
He's a hustler.
He's a hustler. And they tell him we got the airbag hustle. We're going to do that. And Feature's like, they didn't even have shoulder belts when I went away. You know what I mean? And then he leaves, and Junior says he doesn't really like the dandelions. He said, I was being polite. It reminds me of red fescue.
What is that?
It's grass, basically.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. He says that he tells Bobby, make my nephew an egg. He said, I don't want an egg. He says, make me an egg. Bobby gets a little snippy with him. Hey,
snippy.
I'm doing it already. Then he calls Tony B. Tony Eggs, the beginning of the dementia.
There's a lot of egg stuff, though. Remember, you have the whole egg.
Yeah, egg and mayonnaise.
Egg and mayonnaise. Now, do you cook eggs?
Sure.
What can you cook? Omelet? Can you cook an omelet?
Sure. I could do an omelet. I mean, I'm not a good cook, but I could do. I like sunny side up eggs.
See, I like over easy. I like scrambled.
I like scrambled with cheese.
I like that.
American cheese.
I like scrambled with cheese.
I like ham in there. You throw a little of this.
I don't like ketchup on my eggs.
Oh, I do.
See, I like ketchup on the potatoes, but I have to wait till the eggs are done, then put the ketchup on potatoes, because if the ketchup goes on the eggs, done.
I'm going to tell you what's a great sandwich. Egg and cheese sandwich with mayo. Mayo on the eggs is out of this
Really?
world.
I've never
Mayo on the eggs. Yeah. I like ketchup on the eggs, but I like mayo.
So mayo and eggs, which really kind of encompasses all these strange theories.
A nice American cheese, scrambled eggs with mayo on like a nice whole wheat.
My friend only eats Hellman's mayo. He won't eat any other kind.
Yeah, well, because Hellman's is the best. It really is. Then Junior tells him. Bobby answers the phone. He says, Carmine Lupatazzi called.
Who now?
Died.
He says,
who now? Who now? He's so dramatic.
Yeah, what a blow.
What and he says, that, he was a great man. My cousin said he invented point shaving. CCNY versus Kentucky.
1951.
Now, that was a whole scandal.
That's a true thing, yeah.
That's a true thing. Floyd Lane, who Peter Riget's friend, Matthew Goodman, is sending me the book. He did a book on Floyd Lane, who ruined his life. I don't think he was guilty. I think he got hoodwinked, as a lot of these young guys did back then. They were approached and then they fucked them. These guys didn't know. They didn't have attorneys. They were young college guys. And Floyd Lane, who became the head coach at City College many years later, and he did a book on him. And Peter's
so that's a real thing, and Matthew the mob Goodman was involved.
Absolutely, positively, that was a real thing. Junior said nobody beat the spread. He bought a black Fleetwood
Cadillac
with it, and then he's talking. I don't want, if I want to be cremated.
All right.
Don't put it off, throw it off a bridge. Don't spread the ashes. I want it on the mantle.
Surrounded by family.
Surrounded by
So
family.
meaning what? In Tony's house?
Yeah, of course. I guess that's a family. And I want to be cremated. Do you want to be cremated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be cremated.
And I want it spread a little. My wife has instructions with
Central Park.
I might spread it over here a little. I
want to go in the lake.
What do you think?
Central
Maybe
Park.
in the studio? You want to go in the lake?
In Central Park, yeah.
Why?
I like it.
The whole thing? They're going to dump the whole thing, or are you spreading it around?
It's one of my favorite parts of the world.
You're going to spread it around? The lake or the reservoir?
Not the reservoir, the lake. You know the rowboats over there? Yeah, that's my favorite.
And are you going to dump the whole body in, or are you going to just do a
Maybe
little?
part of it. Maybe the kids want to keep some of it. I don't know. Maybe you'll go part of it and
I'll take a little. I'll wear it around my neck if you die first. So you'll be close to me. All right? Can I get a few ashes?
Yeah, you got it, Steve. And he talks about... I don't know how I feel about that. Let me think about that. I'll get back to you.
Crack the Whip?
Crack the Whip. Did you play Crack the Whip?
No,
we did.
I've heard of it.
Did you play Ringalivio?
Yeah.
We did, too.
Sure.
We played. Ringalivio was a good game.
Johnny on the Pony.
Now,
Johnny on the Pony, you played that. That's the best one.
I don't know if I...
Buck, how many fingers you got up?
No.
You don't know what that is?
Johnny on the Pony.
Okay, Johnny on the Pony. So you got like maybe 5 or 6 guys, right? And you all lock in. You bend down. My head is like next to you. We're all crouched down up against the wall. One guy's the pillow, okay? Then there's like 5 or 6 guys looking out. The other team has to jump as far as they can to get towards the pillow. Got it? The team that collapses, if you collapse, you lose, the other team comes. And then, if everyone makes it, you're trying to hold tight, you're locking legs, you understand? Yeah. And then it's like the pillow goes, Buck, how many fingers do I got up? That's it, Johnny and the Pony. It's the greatest game ever.
Never played that. Never heard of it. That's a complicated game.
No, it's not. It's very simple. I just might have said it complicated, but it's not complicated.
Let's explain. Ringalivio is basically hide and go seek with teams. Basically, yeah. That's what it is. And we would play several blocks with the boundaries.
Wow.
Where you can go. Yeah,
I used to play in the schoolyard.
We play at night.
Oh, okay. That's really...
yeah, it was great. Fantastic.
We played it in a schoolyard.
Yeah,
no. But Johnny and the Pony, go to YouTube, look up Johnny and the Pony.
These are New York games, right? Ringalivio, Johnny and the Pony. With Stoop,
Skelly,
did you play...
Stoop Ball.
Stoop Ball was a good game,
Sure.
Yeah.
And then you also have Skelly. You played Skelly.
I never heard of Skelly.
Skelly, you would melt the crayons into the bottle caps, and you draw the thing on the street, and you hit it like that. And sometimes you put a penny in it,
it's like marbles,
it's a little heavier.
but without
on
the
that
marbles.
order. Skelly,
yeah.
Skelly.
Yeah.
Stick ball, obviously.
Stick ball, we played.
Punch ball, all that stuff. Slap ball on the corner, the 4 corners.
Right.
Guy pitches, So then, Crack the Whip. He tells him it's Crack the Whip when somebody lets go.
You're the next one to go. He's talking about his people of his generation dying. And he feels like it's only a matter of time for him.
What a blow. Like you never thought maybe Carmine, who's got to be, 80 at this point or up there.
And it's not a blow to Junior. Junior doesn't even particularly like Carmine. He doesn't really like many people at all.
Does he like anyone?
I don't know.
Who does he like? I guess maybe Tony. Beppy.
Funeral home, Carmine Lupatazzi's funeral. We got a late start that day, if I remember. That was one of those days.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Vinny Vella is one of the first people we see who this.
R.I.P. Vinny Vella.
Vinny Vella passed away. He plays Jimmy Petriel. He was in Casino. He was in Ghost Dog. He was a friend. He lived in their neighborhood with Jim Jarmusch.
The mayor of Little Italy. The mayor.
They call him the mayor of Elizabeth Street. He was friends with Jim Jarmusch. Jim put him in Ghost Dog and Coffee and Cigarettes. He actually had his own show, which I didn't know.
The Vinny Vella show.
I didn't know that.
It was on, what do you call
Public
it?
Access?
Public
Were you
Access.
on that show?
No, he asked me. I like Vinny. I didn't know him that well.
Did you know the lotto thing that happened to him? The $5 million lotto controversy?
No.
So he bought a $20 lottery ticket. And he thought he won $5 million. And he brought it to turned it in. There was a typo. So instead of a 7, it was 7 was the winning number, but he thought he had the 7 was one of the 6 or whatever, but it was really 17 when you scratched it off. It was a typo. And they recalled like 1,500 tickets, and he didn't win. He tried to sue. He got a lawyer.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was in the papers and shit. Vinny was a good guy.
He was a good guy. He was always in a good mood. Yeah. Who's better than you? That was his catchphrase. Yeah. Did a lot of work.
He was a good dude.
I like Vinny.
Yeah,
I
miss
really
him.
did, and I saw him, and I liked him, and it was good to see him. There's they're little Carmine's there, and he feels slighted. Everyone's kissing Johnny Sack's ass. He feels very slighted.
And this is this the first appearance of Frank Vincent as Phil Leotardo?
Possibly.
I think so.
Possibly.
We know Frank Vincent from Raging Bull, Goodfellas.
Over 50 movies, Casino, Jungle Fever, Casino.
Do the Right Thing. He was a good friend and a good guy. Started out with Joe Pesci as a musical comedy duo.
Frank Vincent, really good drummer.
From Newark, New Jersey.
Really good drummer. I went to a thing he invited to one night. He was terrific. He played with like a trio. Little Carmine's there. Vinnie Vella's character comes over. Jimmy Petrillo comes over. He's kissing his ass. Next thing is he's doing Johnny Sack's. They are basically Johnny Sack's the new boss, and they're kind of slighting Little Carmine, and everyone's going up to him giving their condolences.
Right.
He's pissed.
He feels slighted, yeah.
And he calls Johnny Sack over, and he questions, what is this in my father's hands? The rosary. It's for Opus Dei. What the fuck is that about?
Opus Dei is like is a division of Catholicism, I believe. That's a little bit more strict. It's very secretive. I think you sign a contract.
He says this Jersey housewife fundamentalist shit.
Yeah, and it's kind of a thing within the Catholic Church.
And Ginny's into it.
Ginny's
is trouble.
Ginny Sack is into it, and they gave Carmine, who was not into Opus Dei, a rosary. But that's not really why he's pissed off. He's more now. But there's a power vacuum, right? The boss is dead. It doesn't mean Little Carmine's the boss, does it? Necessarily?
No. But they're assuming already that it's Johnny Sack. That's why everybody's hugging and kissing and paying the condolences to him. And he's
Johnny
there
Sack
with
was
his wife.
underboss, right?
And he's there with his wife.
Yeah.
So it's very tense. And Tony says the body's not even cold yet. Phil tells a joke. Everyone's laughing, kissing his ass.
The joke. You know that joke?
No.
So Jesus is on the cross, right? Being crucified. And he sees Peter, the apostle, kind of at a distance watching. He says, Peter, my brother, Peter, come here, please. But Peter tries, the Lord is calling him. Peter runs up towards the crucifix. The Roman soldiers push him back, punch him in the face. They clank him on the head. Peter falls down. Jesus says, Peter, come, please. He tries again. Roman soldier takes a sword, cuts off his arm, blood everywhere. He's on the ground. Jesus is like, Peter, please. Peter goes again. They cut off his other arm. He's got no arms. He's bleeding all the time. But he's looking at his Lord, and Christ says, please, Peter, come. Finally, the Roman soldiers just let him. The guy's, he's got no arms. He's half dead. They let him through. He gets to Christ. Yes, Lord, what is it? And Jesus says, I can see your house from here.
That's a terrible fucking joke.
That's the joke.
It's good they didn't tell the whole thing.
That's the joke. There you go. This is the first appearance of the character Lorraine Caluzzo, the Lady Shylock, played by Patty D'Arbanville. They call her Lady Shylock. She had a romance with Cat Stevens, and he wrote the song Lady D'Arbanville, obviously about her. He also, apparently, the song Wild World, which may be his best-known song, is about Patty D'Arbanville. She first appeared at the age of 16 in Flesh which was one of Andy Warhol's films that starred Sylvia Miles and
And
Joe
I think was she married or has a kid with Don Johnson?
Don Johnson. They had a kid named Jesse. She was in New York Undercover. She was a regular on that show. She's been on Billions. She's done a lot of work.
She does a good job.
She goes back to the Andy Warhol factory. She was and
you're a big Andy Warhol fan.
I am in a lot of ways.
And you played Andy Warhol.
I played Undine, who was a friend of Andy Warhol's, who was part of his troupe.
Do you have any of those tomato can pictures?
No, I don't. But Andy Warhol, I think, is a very underrated filmmaker, and was very, very influential on, the American film, the film scene, really. He also was a lot of what happened in New York in the 70s and 80s and stuff can be traced back to Andy in some way. Music, film, art, magazines, journalism, all those things. Like he was way, and his famous quote, everyone's going to, in the future, he said, in the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. If, that was really true. He really could kind of see that. Where
now, there's
going.
paintings. If he did a painting of you, which he did, are worth a fortune.
Oh, yeah.
He's got Pia Zadora.
They were silk screens. That's what he really mostly famous for.
Pia Zadora, I believe, has one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I don't know if it was commissioned or whatever. I think McEnroe and
they're worth tons of money.
A lot of money. A real lot of money. I've been, I was famous for like 16 minutes, and then when I started doing this podcast, it all went to shit.
Yeah, I met Andy Warhol once.
What was he like?
He was very nice. I met him on the street.
Do you do an impression of him?
No, I don't do impression. I only do Ben Gazzara. I saw him on the street, by Grand Central.
And you just went, "Hi, Andy, I'm a fan." He was
just walking down the street. I just said, "Hi, Andy," and he was just like, "Oh, hi."
Was that a wig?
Very friendly. That was a wig.
Was he bald?
Yeah.
Oh, he was.
That's why he wore a wig.
Well, that's not necessarily. Everyone that wears a fucking wig isn't bald.
Most men who wear wigs are bald.
Not everyone.
All right, who? Who wears a wig?
This is a wig. We're at Livia's
Chris is
house.
impressed by Lady Shylock. She's got a reputation. Yes. He's kind of excited to meet her.
She does a good job. She's a good actress, a really good actress. Olivia's house, where Tony's been staying. Now, is this from the Band of Brothers?
He was Edward Babe Heffron. Somebody played him in Band of Brothers. I don't know if that's a clip from Band. I never saw Band of Brothers. Edward Heffron was in the Battle of the Bulge. And he was in the army. He Bronze Star. Decorated guy. They also took over the Eagle's Nest, which was one of Hitler's headquarters there. And that quote, "All your life you got to remember what one guy did because he thought it was his job. He took a shot for you." And obviously, it's Tony Soprano's thinking of his cousin, Tony B, who who went to jail for a crime that both of them had committed.
We're at the Crazy Horse. Adriana and Tina are in the bathroom. Now, Tina, we know, she's played by Vanessa Ferlito.
Who's a really good actress. She was on 24, CSI New York, Graceland, NCIS New Orleans. She was in the movie Undefeated. John Leguizamo did. Also Spider-Man 2.
She's from Brooklyn girl. I think Bay Ridge. I'm not sure, but she's a Brooklyn girl. A very nice girl. And I think she was I don't know if it's still on, the CSI. She was on that for a number of years at New Orleans. And she also was Mustang Sally's girlfriend.
In another toothpick.
We saw her.
Right.
It's one of her first roles. Or if not her first role, that soprano role, she was a model. And it was Mustang Sally when he hits Fido's brother with the golf club.
With the golf club. She played his girlfriend.
And she comes back again. She's talking. She had a breakup. She's stealing money at work. She bought this fur coat. Fake invoices she's putting in.
Adriana says, I love animals, but this coat is gorgeous.
Little Carmine goes and gets the drinks.
Chris seems like he's constantly trying to fix up little Paulie.
Little Paulie. What did I say? Little Carmine. Yeah, little Paulie. And, he went to get another apple martini. She's getting fucked up. Adriana's drinking white wine. He says nothing with nothing for Chris. Chris says, it's a crush. It's hard, but it's not for everybody. At least I don't need that crutch.
Things are different when you don't have that crutch. He talks about the coach. He says it's Fox. She says, good, I have fur on the outside because I'm bare everywhere else.
Well, I told you the bush is coming back. Now, this was in 2004.
Is it still coming back or is it here?
I think it's back to bush. But a little something, especially in the winter months. A little winter months, you got to be careful there.
You got to be
because
really
you know
careful,
what?
Steve.
You grow too long, and then it becomes like Larry from the Three Stooges coming out. You know what I mean? No good. I saw a girl at the pool at the Riviera Hotel. Right. She dives in the pool. She comes out. Boom. Larry from the Three Stooges.
And when was
Both
this?
sides.
How long ago was this? It's still etched in your brain, this thing, huh? 30 years ago?
Early to mid-90s. Kind of horrifying. Way too long.
Why is it horrifying?
Well, it was way too long.
For you. For you, it was way too long.
She was at the pool.
People
Larry from the Three Stooges. That's what I thought of. Okay? Paulie Walnuts, Pine Barrens, when it comes out. Bozo. Get it?
Interior, Chris and Adriana's apartment. He's pissed off because Adriana's drinking wine. He resents it.
Well, he should.
And he should.
The night's over. They were out.
She also knows how hard it's been for him, and she's not helping. And she's a little resentful. She thinks Tina was flirting, and Christopher liked it, and she's like, calls her a cunt. Then she defends it, says, cunt, that's my maid of honor.
She's no maid, let me tell you. Well, I tell you what, Adriana's out of line. It's not the first time she drank in front of him.
No, I think she does it like every day.
I mean, what are you doing? Now it's time for bed. They're going to bed. They're going. The night's over. All right, you drank when you were out. Okay, now you're gonna open a bottle of wine. That's hard. Takes a lot of willpower.
I think it's really hard.
And Quintina's house.
That's Ray Allen, whose real name was Raffaella Giulia Teresa Abruzzo. Ray Abruzzo, kind of. That's her name. She's 94 years old now. Ray Allen. She won a Tony Award. Best Actress in the play Miss Reardon Drinks a Little. She was in the original Broadway production of Fiddler on the Roof, as well as Damn Yankees. She's in the movie League of Their Own, Stargate. She was on Seinfeld as the unemployment officer. Remember George Costanza trying to get unemployment? He goes out with her daughter. She was also All in the Family. She played Edith Bunker's well-to-do cousin Amelia. She was on Hill Street Blues, Grey's Anatomy. I really like. She's a great lady and a great actress. I like her a lot.
A League of Their Own. Tony is all dressed up. He's coming to see Tony B. Before, they're looking at pictures. They see pictures when the two Tonys are kids. There's a picture of Kelly, which is Tony B's daughter, who obviously is a runaway in trouble.
Has disappeared. She's around Meadows' age, I believe, right? Late teens, early 20s, maybe.
She says that, Tony B said he's going to hire a private detective to find her. His ex-wife has an answering machine, won't answer the call, so she can't see the kids. Tony B has a set of, I don't know if they're twins. Are they twins?
They're twin boys that were born while he was in prison. So the story is, did they smuggle his sperm out, or was it a conjugal visit?
I don't know, because they're not 15.
No, they were born while he was in prison. I forget exactly. I think they address it later in the show, in a later episode. Either they smuggled his sperm out, or there was a conjugal visit.
Of course, we see Tony Blundetto, Steve Buscemi for the first time on camera. Fargo, Reservoir Dogs, The Big Lebowski, and on and on and on.
And a great director and writer. And
we could go on. And he's got a suit. He's downstairs. His mom says he's downstairs changing into one of his old suits.
The white suit with the shoulder pads.
From Miami
Vice.
This is the 80s, right?
The rolled up sleeves.
Mid-80s, mid to late 80s.
He's in the mid-80s.
That was a look. I had a white suit.
Yeah, I had it too.
I had one.
I had a pale yellow one too. That
Really?
was nice.
That was
I bought on 8th Street in the Village. Yeah, it was
that
good.
was a look. Also, she says. She says, say, they're hugging, obviously a big hug. Say provolone. It's a great shot because on the flash, when she takes the picture, we go right into the Vesuvio. I thought that was a great shot of the party of Tony B, and his mom. Don't forget, Aunt Quintina is Livia's sister.
Yeah, and they kind of, you believe them as...
She's miserable too.
Very much...
Yeah.
That's a really good cast. I think Ray Allen is perfect as Aunt Quintina.
And Tony B is very awkward. He's very uncomfortable. Got the fake tattoos they put on Steve, the dagger, and he's got one of Kelly on his forearm. I guess he got them in prison, I assume. He's asking, is Nancy here? That's his ex-wife. The twins, they're here now. She couldn't make it, Carmela says.
Artie Bucco says, where's Tubbs? Which is one of the leads on Miami Vice. And then
it's very funny.
And then he kind of blows off Tony Soprano because they're still button head. They're still at odds.
He said, what's going on? And he tells him. He says, I lent the guy money. He tried to kill himself. It's my fault. He says, I got peppers marinating 15 years. Tells the crowd, the whole group is there. Everyone's there. And
Bobby Jr. says, who are you? I've never heard of you. Never even heard of you. Where were you all these years? I was away on business. I've never even heard of you.
He's trying to be polite, and Tony says they let that kid say anything. There's a guy in this scene. I think he became a Tony Soprano impersonator.
He plays what, an extra?
Yeah,
he's an extra family member.
Saw him in the back. Now, about 5, 6, 7 years ago, I got a call from someone. There was a party. These guys were in from out of town. They're huge Soprano fans. They were, would you have lunch with them? Blah, 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 blah.
For what?
They're going to give a lot of money to charity.
To a charity, okay.
Okay, a lot of money. $10,000 to the charity
That's
of my
nice.
choice.
All right.
And
for just to go out with you and have lunch.
To go have lunch. I was going to their club. They were at a cigar club. Okay. I don't know anything about it. Came to a friend of mine. They're having lunch. They're nice guys. They're drinking. It's the middle of the day. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. They're, yucking it up, blah, blah, blah. I don't know where they were from. Midwest somewhere. Obviously with money. Next thing I know, there's the guy comes in with the bathrobe, acting like Tony Soprano with a cigar. And he doesn't have his hair done in this thing, but now he's like baldish. This is, many years.
Well, what did he mean? He comes in with a robe doing what?
Hey, he's actually trying to act like Tony Soprano. I was fucking horrified.
And now he wanted to interact with you as Bobby?
He was talking to me. I mean, I was horrified.
Is he calling you Bobby?
No, he was just... Then another guy comes in, and he's De Niro from Cape Fear. He's got the fucking Hawaiian shirt on. Okay? He's got the fake mole and the thing, and I am beside myself, man. I said, charity, I was very embarrassed.
Just to interact with these people having lunch?
Just to have
It wasn't
lunch.
like they were doing a show.
Well, listen, I know that, but people, listen, in Vegas they have all these impersonators. You know that.
Yeah.
They hire Marilyn Monroe to come to the wedding, Charlie Chaplin, Elvis.
Remember we were last time we were in Vegas together. We met Mike, but we're not sure if it was Mike Tyson or a
Mike
lookalike.
Tyson impersonator.
It wasn't Mike Tyson, right?
No. Then they have those little kids.
I wasn't sure though.
No, at first you didn't know.
No,
because he had even the face tattoo, but no, it wasn't him.
That wasn't him,
People like that. It's big business, and these guys came, and these guys liked it, and I was horrified. I got to tell you. I mean, and one of those guys was the guy.
Wow. All right.
I guess he worked his way from extra up to Tony Soprano impersonator. Tony B. surprise party. The family's there. Everyone's there. He's out of his element. It's awkward. He goes to the bar, has a drink.
He's out of his element. He's also he sees what happened to Tony Soprano being boss. He's got money. He's got his kids. And
kids are beautiful. Meadow. He meets
feeling.
Meadow. Meadow. He's, oh my gosh, she's a nice looking college student, young lady. I'm going to tell you something. Something that there's very few things about The Sopranos that I dislike. It has nothing to do with the performance, but when Tony gives the speech and he's doing that, Tony, Uncle Johnny, Tony, Uncle Al, I can't stand that. I've never heard anyone do that. I've got to tell you, I've never heard that in my life.
Oh no, I've heard that.
I never have, and I tell you what, I fast forwarded it here because it just, I don't know why. It fucking
rubbed you the wrong way.
Tony, Uncle Johnny, Tony, Uncle Al.
I think that I've heard that. But
listen, I'm sure it's true.
But what's funny is, and then he goes in, Tony, Uncle Philly, and Uncle Phil who passed away, and Uncle Philly, he passed away too. This all of a sudden the toast goes into this morose thing, makes Tony B even more sad. He's already missing his kids, and it just goes south from there. And then they go outside. He says Meadows incredible. He talks about Kelly. He's comparing himself to Tony, his family situation. If things had gone different way back when.
Here it comes.
And Tony Soprano's like, well, what do you mean? Well, it's good it wasn't.
What do you
both
want
of
from
us.
me? Tony says, what do you want from me? But this is what happens, and it's not the first time it's going to come up.
Yeah.
He's bitter. Tony B's bitter. He's been stewing in jails 15 years. His life is destroyed.
Yeah.
And Tony is living the high life.
And he's resentful.
Tony says, listen, this place I have, it's the thing we've always talked about. Meaning the Bada Bing that Tony Soprano now owns.
And then inside the Bing, Tony B says, it's weird, my cousin in the old man's seat, which he's not, he's, to him, they're like equals, they go back to the, before he went to prison, Tony and Tony were like,
they were in
cousins.
their 20s, I would say, at the time.
And now seeing him as the boss.
He's the boss, he's the boss. You probably have some of that with me. This fucking Steve, and now he's like almost an equal to me. You have that a little, like you say.
You get that from
when
me.
You see me like.
So I'm Tony Soprano. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and you see me on TV, and you go, "Look at this fucking guy on fucking TV." You have that. We have the same kind of relationship.
Similar, yeah, it is similar. That is true.
So you know what I mean? That's how Of course, Paulie is mispronouncing names and words and just fucking yapping away.
He doesn't know what he's saying. Feach tells Tony B, I missed you by 2 weeks at Allenwood. And Tony sees Feach and Tony. He is a shot of Tony watching Tony B and Feach commiserating, and he's a little bit, taking that in. What's going on there?
But something at the funeral, which I forgot to say, Paulie Walnuts, he says, hey, when Tony announces, hey, that was my aunt. Tony's coming, he's coming out anytime or tomorrow, whatever. And Paulie Walnuts goes, yeah, start him off slow, T. Start him off slow. What's it of his fucking business?
Right.
What's your business?
That's true. It's none of his business.
And Feach gives him an envelope. He gives him a boost. He says, hey, and he says, you're on your feet already. He says, hey, you hit the ground running and you don't look back.
Yeah.
He gives him a nice envelope. This is a little something for you.
He's doing what Shylocking and sports, I think. Feach, that's what he wanted to do.
We're in the Bada Bing bathroom.
Okay, now Steve, I've traveled with you. We've been all around the world. I've been in a lot of situations. I've been in some weird situations with you, but I've never been in the bathroom while you were on the toilet bowl.
No, and with no door. The door was open.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. I've never been in I was staying in a hotel in Puerto Rico. Really nice place on the West Coast, on the Caribbean seaside. Not a beautiful place. And there's a dining room and there's a bathroom off the dining room, a men's room. And it had 2 toilets side by side. Not 2 urinals.
Not one wasn't a bidet?
No.
So Me and you would go in.
They're just like right there, side by side,
Really?
like a co-pilot kind of thing.
That's really strange.
I found that very bizarre. I'd never seen that before.
Do people you've traveled much more than me to other countries. Do people in other countries maybe it doesn't need to be as private? They're more open about
listen,
it?
I was in many places in Puerto Rico. I'd never seen that. I don't think it had nothing to do with being in Puerto Rico. There was something to do with that place. I don't know why. I mean, it's not something
Maybe if you're
common
with
on
your
the
date,
island.
you go pee together. Go take a
Between
dump together.
courses?
Come on, honey. You got to take a dump.
It was
yeah,
very
You got to
weird.
take a dump. Let's go. Also, with a lot of clubs, certain bars, they don't have a door on the toilet because people are in there doing drugs. So
Yeah.
they take the door off so you don't have that privacy of,
Right.
you know what I mean? You don't have the privacy of, that you're doing blow or whatever you're
I just
shooting
found
up.
it weird that Tony would be in there while Johnny Sack.
Johnny Sack's got his underwear on his
Smoking
around
a
his
cigarette.
ankles, smoking, taking a shit. Yeah, how glamorous this mob life is, huh? And they're talking about Jack Masserone. Johnny says he likes Jack.
He doesn't like little Carmine, who says 5 years doing wet T-shirt contests, and now he wants to be boss.
He was touched by the funeral the other day. Tony's being sarcastic. Masserone's waiting on a number. I was very touched by that funeral. Johnny likes Masserone.
Johnny likes. I think Mazzarone made people a lot of money. That's the deal. Obviously, that's why they're in business with him.
Now, Tony goes back out to the bar. All the guys are there, and everyone's there. Our good buddy Joe Scarpanino. Our dear,
Scarpanino
close
came back
friend.
for that
He's there.
episode. Yes.
He's not the first time he's been there. He's there in that scene. There's quite a bit of people in the scene. And also, the Carmine Lupatazzi scene, Tony Lip, who plays Carmine Lupatazzi, his son was at the funeral scene. That must have been a little weird for him watching his father in the coffin.
Oh, really?
I would think that might have been a little uncomfortable. And Tony B, they're drinking. They're continuing to drink. He does the Reginald Van Gleeson character.
Reginald Van Gleeson III, one of the many characters, the great one, Jackie Gleason played on his show, The Jackie Gleason Show. There was Joe the Bartender, The Poor Soul, Charlie the Loudmouth, and, of course, the most famous
And
one,
I
Ralph
believe
Cramden.
Steve is a big Jackie Gleason fan.
Steve Buscemi, as am I, and he says, boy, are you fat? And Tony's like, what'd you say? Like at first, and he lets it slide, Tony Soprano. He lets it slide.
Yeah.
He kind of grabs him and
He
pretends
laughs
to hit
along
him.
with it. He laughs along because he's
along.
going to be embarrassed. It's quiet.
Yeah, but he doesn't like it.
He doesn't like it.
like
And that was a pretty good impression. So you do Ben Gazzara and Reginald Van Gleeson III. That was pretty good.
That wasn't good.
Add
No,
that in-
I don't do him.
Put that into
I
your
don't
repertoire.
I don't do voices.
In
You
your
do a good
repertoire.
Tony Sirico. Who else do you do?
I did Liberace. Hi, Steve. Hey, Lee. How you doing, buddy? Hi, Steve.
That's pretty good.
I got to know him. He's a beloved guy and a nice man.
Did you ever go to his house for Christmas?
No, but I went to his show and he flew in. He was wearing hot pants. Swear to God, hot pants, and he flew in to start the show. He would fly in, and then he also had the guy drove him with the Rolls Royce
Amazing.
right onto the stage.
Amazing.
Yeah. The new Skyway Diner, Tony B and Tony E.
That's where Christopher was shot by Matt Bevilacqua and what's the other guy's name?
Brendan Fallone.
No, Matt, and played by Chris Tardio. Matt Bevilacqua was Lilo Brancato's character, and Chris Tardio's character. They shot Christopher.
He says, I got an idea. He says, what do you want to do? Tony wants to put him in action. He's got this idea about the airbags. And he wants to put Tony B in action for numerous reasons. A big one, guilt.
Guilt. He wants to make it up to him. He wants
Okay.
to get him on
And
his
he
feet.
says, listen, I want to become a licensed massage therapist.
He has that line. He said, he started working in the hospital at the prison, and the line he says, Sean Gismonte, right? That was Chris Tardio's character. But the line he says, I was dealing with in the hospital, stab wounds, detox. That line was cut. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, the line was stab wounds, detox, and ass stuff.
Oh.
But I think they cut that.
Hello.
I'm pretty sure that was the line.
Check, please.
I think that was the line originally. He says he wants to be, go legit. He wants to be a licensed massage therapist. Tony says, you want to run a massage bar? He says, no, a licensed massage therapist. Tony says, I got this airbag thing. He's like, thanks, but I need regular work. So Tony Soprano says, well, you could be a delivery man.
I'll help
with the linens,
union.
The Korean company. I don't have a driver's license. My guy at the DMV could hook that up, and I can hook you up with the union stuff to be a delivery man. So Tony's
going to help him. I think Tony's a little disappointed. He wants to go straight, but that's okay. Panera Bread. Adriana meets with Agent San Severino.
Oh, we got the home theater first before that. Interior Soprano Home Theater. They're screening Citizen Kane.
I'm off. I'm a little off today. It's the second blunder.
Right. I got you. They're watching Citizen Kane. You like that movie? Have you seen it?
Yeah, a long time ago. I saw it in college.
It's a really good
And then I've seen it. No, it's a great movie.
It's a really good movie.
It's on a lot of lists of the best movie of all time.
It's a very important movie. He was very young. Well, Orson Welles was very young when he made it. It was a lot of the people he worked with in the theater and on the radio. It's loosely based on William Randolph Hearst, who was very offended by the portrayal in the movie and, set out to ruin Orson Welles' career.
And he didn't really do a whole lot, Orson Welles, after this, right?
He did, but it was hard. He didn't, he showed so much promise with this movie, and he was about to really kind of just take off. And William Randolph Hearst made life very difficult for him in terms of his career. Did you ever go to Hearst Castle?
No.
It's Central Coast, California, near San Simeon.
Have you gone?
I have, because he's in this castle in the movie, which is, I think it's called Xanadu in the movie, but Hearst Castle, I have gone. He used to have he was a newspaper guy, William Randolph Hearst.
And who was his gumara?
A famous actress,
Somebody
right?
famous, yeah.
He had gumaras, but if he would fly people up from Hollywood and have weekends there and stuff like that, but he wouldn't let. You had to be married to sleep together in his house, although he could have affairs and stuff. He was very I think he used to spy on people. He was very paranoid. He used to fly, somebody would fly in a plane from LA or San Francisco to bring him the newspaper every day. Marion Davies, yeah. He had her she had a beautiful penthouse apartment on Riverside Drive where I think she was there, and then another one of his girlfriends was there.
I want to say that Peter Bogdanovich directed a movie.
Yeah.
That I went to the premiere with Johnny V.
Was that Cat's Meow?
Yes.
Was it that one? Yeah.
Yes.
Also, when you drive up, around the castle, you could see on the side of the road, there's lots of land that's still owned by the Hearst Corporation. They raise livestock, cattle, and stuff like that. But you could see zebras and stuff up there because he had a zoo. And I think when there was either an earthquake or some kind of thing, the animals got out and were still living on, out in the wilderness there. But
Really?
Sometimes you'll see zebras and stuff.
And is it incredible, the castle?
It's pretty wild. I mean, I think he brought over a lot of those things from Europe. He maybe even like the stones or recreated some castle from Europe. But it's the pool scene in Spartacus was filmed there. It's an indoor swimming pool.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I would like to go there.
It's a cool thing to see.
Then they should buy Napoleon's cock and put it on display there.
Why?
Well, because it's a tourist attraction, so they had a little added something.
But Napoleon has nothing to do with William Randolph.
Listen, a lot of things have nothing to do with anything, but it's just another tourist attraction. Maybe it'll draw better. Do millions of people go a year to the Hearst Castle?
A lot of people go to Hearst Castle. It's a big tourist attraction, yes.
Do they have a gift shop?
100%.
Exit through the gift shop.
Exit through the gift shop, yeah.
So, maybe little replicas of Napoleon.
Sounds
why
good,
not?
Steve.
The Jersey Devil.
I mean, I don't get the connection, but
AJ's watching. They kick him out. Rosalie, Carmela.
Violet Lupertazzi. Now that's Carmine's wife, I'm assuming, right?
I guess so.
Yeah. Now I guess they're keeping her around because her husband just died. They want to kind of, extend some friendship to her.
You have Gabby there. Janice is there.
They're supposed to discuss the film, right? They're not a book club, a film club. They watch movies and discuss. There's nothing much to discuss. Nobody wants to talk about the film. She starts talking about she saw Laura Bassi at Loman's. She got a D cup breast.
They gossip.
Breast augmentation or whatever you call it.
They're talking marriage. Rose says, "How you doing, Carm? Marriage is hard." Janice throws a zinger about Bobby. 6 months of marriage, and he still can't find my rosebud.
Yeah, Bobby's very conservative sexual. You said that before.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean he can't find the rosebud.
Wow, obviously he hasn't. She's complaining.
I know, but she shouldn't complain in front of...
She shouldn't.
She's embarrassed. This is personal, intimate stuff. She's embarrassing.
She's not a good person, I don't think.
No, she's horrible. No, she's one of the worst people in the whole show.
She is.
Carmela's talking divorce. I got Greenberg. But most of the money's in cash. And Gab says says you may not get anything.
Yeah. Because the lawyer says I'm entitled to equitable distribution, half the money, but it's like if you could find the money. If it's cash, who knows where he's got it?
She's not getting nothing. She'll get, half the house.
Right. Maybe the boat, the value of the boat and cars and
kids,
stuff like that.
Meadows already, no more child support. Pay child support for AJ.
For a
get
year
a car.
or two. That's it, yeah.
She's going to get the short end of this stick. And I got to tell you, movie night, 6, 7 people watching a movie for 2 hours in the dark. You want to, you can't talk.
Not
Tough.
that fun? No.
Tough. I don't think so. I like watching movies alone or with one person.
Yeah, I agree.
Am I right?
Yeah. That's not for me.
I don't do that. Adriana meets with Agent San Severino. What am I doing? I can't talk to you. I can't even talk to Christopher. He's my soulmate. I'm being ripped apart here, just snitching on people. What do I get out of it? She's trying to make small talk, personal small talk, kind of breaker. Because Adriana, deep down, not very bright, is a nice person, I believe.
And she obviously feels horrible. She's under a lot of pressure. She's very conflicted. And Agent San Severino says, well, you could, you're helping the government. And she just doesn't buy that, and she feels like this woman doesn't care. And then she goes into the reason why she became an FBI agent, because her sister got shot by somebody, who was playing with guns. At least with the FBI, the line's clear who the good guys and who the bad guys, but I don't think it helps.
I mean, it's not funny that her sister got shot, but, that they tried to open up a coconut.
Tried to open a coconut, and then she became a paraplegic.
Jesus Christ, that's horrifying.
It's very specific.
Horrifying. The pork store, Silvio Paulie and Vito are playing cards. Tony B arrives. They're breaking each other's balls.
He makes a crack about Paulie walnuts. Hey, you let that dry before you put on a second coat? Grandpa Munster.
Which we know they're the only 2 people that ever had that haircut.
Al Lewis was the actor who played Grandpa Munster.
The restaurant in the Village and a comedy club.
He had Grandpa's Restaurant on Bleecker Street. Actually, there's a book written by Anthony Bourdain. Before he wrote Kitchen Confidential, he wrote 2 novels. One of them was called Bone in the Throat. And there's a restaurant that's obviously based on Grandpa's.
I read it, yeah.
And he kind of disguises it a little bit, but he talks about that. I think it was mobbed up, actually. I think Al Lewis was mobbed up.
Sure. But, Al Lewis was also college basketball, an expert, considered an expert on new recruits. Who's going to be a pro, who's not going to be a pro, who's coming out of high school.
In his later years, you mean?
Yeah, an absolute
he was
expert.
paid by colleges?
Well, I don't know if he was paid, but an expert. I want to say he even had a newsletter.
Wow.
Where his word meant something. This kid's got the goods, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Talking about high school kids or college kids?
I think high school to college, I'm pretty sure.
That's pretty
Maybe
wild.
even college
I did not know that.
Pro, yeah, absolutely. considered an expert, Al Lewis. Yeah. And he was great as Grandpa Munster.
Yeah.
Which was a great show, The Munsters.
Oh, yeah. It
Great
was really
show.
fun.
Great show.
I like that a lot.
And, they're breaking each other's balls.
You're going to deal those cards. They're not candy bars, he says to Vito.
Says you can't pay us in
Paulie don't like
napkins.
that crack. That doesn't go down well with Paulie Walnuts, the crack about his head.
No, of course not. You can't pay us. The funny thing is, he didn't like it. Tony doesn't like it in real life either.
No.
Because the hair is the same.
No, I know.
Well, the hair was the same. So they're breaking each other's balls. Tony comes in. What's going on? I leave for an hour. All of a sudden, it turns to a slumber party, which is pretty fucking funny.
It is pretty funny.
And they love the massage. Obviously, he's very good at
He's
it.
very good. Paulie Walnuts loves the
Paulie
massage.
loved it. Silvio
Vito
loved
loves
it. Vito's up there, and Vito's loving it. It feels like his back's on vacation.
Right. So he's good at what he does, and Tony don't like it. And Tony B says somebody woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and that's enough for Tony Soprano. Says we got to talk.
He says, "What is this? A Jack LaLanne in here?" Now, Jack LaLanne, as we know, for people that don't know, was one of the first fitness gurus on TV.
He had a TV show, a fitness guru on TV for going way back.
Lived into his 90s.
Yeah.
He had a chain of. Gyms,
right?
gyms,
Sports clubs. Yeah.
Jack LaLanne, sports clubs.
Tony Soprano tries to straighten him out, says things have changed. I'm the boss. You don't make fun of me. And knock off the massage. This is a place of business. He's pissed off. And Tony B's pissed off.
Yeah, but Tony B, he doesn't budge an inch.
No.
You're crowding me. You see the jailhouse Tony B comes out.
You're crowding
You're
me.
crowding me. It doesn't fucking... You Steve Buscemi's face almost changes.
Yeah. He's pissed off.
He's pissed
He don't
off.
like this.
He says, you're crowding me here. He doesn't back down 1 inch, Tony B. It's a small scene, but a really good scene. Knock off the massage shit. Crazy Horse, Adriana Tina sit at the bar. Christopher, hey, you got change? I've been sliding this stupid bill in and out of the cigarette machine for like an hour. An hour? I bet you could go longer than that.
She's out of line.
Way out of line. Yeah. Right in front of Adriana.
Yeah.
Obviously hitting on him. Very, very obvious. He says, why do you talk like a whore? She says, because men like it. Do men like it?
I think it has its place.
Yeah, but if it's your girl, I don't know. I guess, like you said,
There's a time and place.
All right. Thank you for straightening that out for me. See, first, Adriana right in front of her face. Yeah. Totally disrespectful. Bada bing, back room. Tony sits at the desk.
I love this line. I'm having a great time. I get to stay out late. I come home drunk. I fuck anyone I want. And Silvio says, yeah, so what's the difference?
As the time goes on, and I was thinking about this as I watched this, Silvio is becoming more and more one of my favorite characters.
Me too.
He is as cool as a cucumber.
And very shrewd and smart.
Very
and
slick.
Slick, yeah.
Dresses, common sense.
Courageous.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Got big balls.
Yeah.
He'll kill you in the fucking drop of a hat.
Yeah.
We saw Paulie try to get fucking frisky with him, and he stood right back.
Stood right up to him, yeah.
And I got to tell you, even at the end of this, he said, so is that a yes on Masserone? He says, Tony's got his process.
His own process.
I like Silvio's character
Excellent.
very much.
I think he's very specific and really good, and Stevie does a great job.
Yep.
Patsy barges in. He says, I've heard from my guy, the Fairfield Diner. He thinks there's feds. This really fucking worries Tony.
He says he ran the plates and bounced back a no hit. But then they're trying to, our girl, Silvio says our girl over there would have
the grand jury.
told us the grand jury. And then Chris has something to chime in there. And then he offers to do the hit. Masserone, he tell me, but I watch, they're saying they watch. I watch my rearview mirror. If it's Masserone, I'd be fucked. We'd all be fucked.
Yeah. And then Tony decides he wants to vibe him out. His father was good at vibing people out, and Tony thinks he's good at that too.
Tony says, I want to be sure. I'm surprised that Tony even gives a shit that much about Jack Masserone. He does make the money.
I think it's the money. Yeah. It's the money, the money, the money. Yeah. Follow the money.
Soprano entertainment room again. Carmela opens the cabinet. The movie player is gone.
Tony's got a hair up his ass this whole episode, it seems. He's grouchy. He's, you know what I mean? He takes the movie, she's having these movie nights, and now he prevents her from doing that. He's kind of, I don't know.
Hey, listen, he's very bitter.
He's bitter.
He doesn't believe in this. She says, stop taking shit out of the house. I don't want to get a lawyer. We could handle this like adults. And I know she'll get fucked over if there's no lawyer involved to protect her, and probably even then some. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to get a divorce. He wants to do what he wants, when he wants, and she just got to sit there and take it.
Yeah.
And that's it. And she's had enough. So, listen, how could Tony Soprano ever be in a good mood? He's got it coming from every fucking angle.
Yeah. He certainly does.
We share this as adults. She yells at him. Then they're at the diner. Tony parks next to Jack.
What is that, Sonic? Is that what it is? That Sonic place?
Yeah, Sonic hamburgers.
Sonic hamburgers, yeah. Masserone looks worried.
Or a place like that.
Masserone's very worried because he knows this can just, he knows what could happen here. He's right, he's
come on, let's take a walk. And but when Tony hugs him, he's just fucking feeling his back.
He's feeling him up.
It's very obvious.
He's feeling him up and down. Yeah.
It's very obvious. And the big tip off. It looks like, have you lost weight?
Jack Masserone says to Tony, "It looks like you lost weight." He's bringing up Zellman. I talked to our friend who celebrates Hanukkah. He's meeting Zellman. It's in the works. And he's patting him down like crazy. And the guy says, and I think Tony doesn't think anything of that lost weight comment until later.
Yeah. But everybody who tries to get on a good side, you don't know this, but anybody who wants to get on a good side of a fat guy, they always bring that up. Hey,
really?
You lost a little weight. I'm trying, Yeah, you never go, no, I haven't fucking lost a fucking ounce, you bullshit artist. You go, yeah, you think so? It's always, so that's a fat person thing.
So that's a tip-off.
Yeah. They're trying to buddy you up, you know what I mean?
So when now it cuts to the interior of the Bada Bing, and Tony's frustrated. He goes, I couldn't tell shit. What am I, a mind reader? And he said he looks like I lost some...
Do you believe in mind readers too?
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely. Certain people could
read your mind.
Yeah.
You've had your mind read?
Yeah.
And they've told you what?
I don't want to go into detail about this. It's very personal.
Okay. Wow. All of a sudden, we're getting...
Yeah, because it's very personal to me, and you're just going to mock it and kind of, drag it through the mud.
You don't have to tell me what he said or she said, but the mind reader, they've read your mind.
Yeah.
So you went into a room, just don't tell me.
No, not a professional. It's happened through people. People have done it in life. I'm not talking about a professional, those people on the corner who want to read your cards.
No, these aren't...
no, people I know.
Read the future or just...
No, they know what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Why, you've never experienced anything like that? I've had it happen. I've had psychic experience where I've not read minds, but knew what was going on.
I've had things where... I don't know if they're coincidences. I could be thinking about someone.
But you know that expression, there are no coincidences.
So listen, I'm thinking about somebody, boom.
Right, that's psychic ability.
Within 30 seconds, I'm getting a text from them. Right. I haven't talked to the guy in 10 years. Stuff like that, a lot of that happens. Yeah. Is that mind reading?
That's psychic connection. Absolutely. You're tuned into it.
All right. Well, that happens.
Yeah, that happens. He tells Chris and Silvio, Jack said I look like I lost weight, and I love the reaction. It's just
They know.
it's very.
That's
funny.
it. They know.
It's really
They know
funny.
he hasn't lost weight.
And then Mr. Kim calls, complaining about Tony B. And you notice Kim was the name of the doctor that was going to buy the Whitecaps house.
Yeah.
But Tony Soprano's just frustrated and says, "Yeah, you know what? Fire him. What the fuck? Fuck it."
He's useless to me. He's very nasty and angry about him. And they leave Chris and Silvio.
Christopher suggests, "Why don't we have Tony B kill
He needs some money.
Mazzarone?" And Tony Soprano
That was a
yells,
bad
"What the fuck is
suggestion.
wrong with you? Trying to go straight? Don't you give a shit about your cousin?" And Christopher apologizes, says that was a great party.
That was a bad suggestion. Plus, why would they pay? Why would they pay? They don't got to pay Christopher. He doesn't get extra money for
That's
the
part
hit.
of his job.
That's part of his. It's under his job description.
It's under his job description.
Kill.
He might get a little bonus for that, no? If he does a
kill
good job.
someone when the boss calls. You must kill. That's under the job description.
That's under the job description.
With HR, if you went to HR,
HR.
listen, Tony wants me to kill this guy. Let me look.
Yeah.
Chris, that's part of your gig, man.
But then he says, fuck him. Tony Soprano says, fuck him, referring to Tony B. The guy's useless to me. He's very angry.
He's angry.
So then he leaves, and Chris says, is that a yes on Mazzarone, like you said before? Tony's got his own process. I love that exchange. I like, Christopher and Silvio in that scene.
Soprano Entertainment Room again.
They were going to watch Casablanca, which is one of my favorite movies
Yeah,
of
I
all
like
time.
Casablanca.
I love that movie.
The
That's
next
a
week
classic.
is The Godfather was number 3.
They kind of they kind of groan a little bit, it seemed, right?
Yeah, they don't. Well, they live it. They don't want to. Also, when they were watching Citizen Kane, the FBI came on the screen, and they all stared.
They all stared.
Like, oh boy.
And Adriana. And instead of watching a movie, they're going to get drunk, it looks like.
Well, they had empty potato chips and this and that, and they're talking, and they go outside to smoke. Rosalie April and Adriana, they're smoking. And how come Angie Bompensero doesn't come? Big Pussy's wife, she said she's not welcome here. Don't you know about Pussy? Went to the program, turned on everybody. Who knows why people do what they do, she said.
She compares him to Judas, and she says, well, at least Judas hung himself instead of, like, ratting everybody out. And Adriana shivers at that.
A la The Godfather, which was mentioned.
A la The
Frank
Godfather.
Pantangeli, Godfather 2.
Michael Gazzo.
Right?
Yes.
He slit his wrist.
Rather than be a rat.
Correct.
Interior Livia's Tony's drinking scotch from the bottle. He's getting fucked up in the house. He hangs up his Rat Pack painting. He doesn't know what to do with this painting.
He's ruminating. He's thinking. He's sitting around. Soprano Entertainment Room. They're back. Adriana's crying. What's the matter? It's not. I'm not what you think. I don't want. I don't know what to do. I want to tell you all something that's driving me crazy. You could tell us anything.
Which is not true.
No.
She can't tell them anything.
Oh no. She's dead if she tells them.
She realizes that.
She's crying. She's drinking heavily. She's very drunk. Starts crying. Runs outside. Falls down. Gets in the car. Drives away.
Yeah.
Tony's place. Tony's at calls 3 a.m.
3 a.m. Drunk dialing, right? Is that what he's doing? And I love Tony B's. Tony B's ringtone is "We Are the Champions," which is hilarious. Another great soprano little detail, right?
And it's a nothing call. I think Tony Soprano's trying to see if he's mad at him.
He's lonely. He's guilty.
He's lonely.
Yeah.
He just finished saying, "I can fuck who I want, stay out late, do it," and he's in
miserable.
a chair moving a Rat Pack thing around,
drunk by himself at 3 a.m.
Pretty, pretty lonely, pretty shitty.
And he kind of apologized to Tony B. I was a little hard on you. Listen, you can joke around, but not while the other guys are there. You got to maintain respect. And then Tony B. says, well, you're the boss. And Tony Soprano gets mad. You can't say that shit on the phone.
Yeah.
He's talking about Carmela being a bitch. Tony B says, listen, I got to be up in 2 hours. So we can always talk. But then Tony Spread says, I'll buy a fucking lunchbox.
I don't know what that means. So he gives him a little...
does it mean I'll become a working stiff like you?
He gives him a fucking zinger. Then he looks in the mirror. He's checking out his belly in the mirror. It's 3 a.m.
And
he winds up...
on the Pulaski Skyway, yeah.
Going out in the car, throws the... He's convinced now. This shows he's convinced that Jack Masserone is
a rat.
A rat. He throws the Rat Pack picture off the bridge. Next scene, the parking lot. The cops find Jack Masserone
with a 5-iron cover and it's stuffed in his mouth, dead.
He's dead, which we knew what was going to happen. Obviously, Christopher got there. Agent Grasso's car. Ray Curto, Agent Grasso, we got to talk about my compensation overall. My kid with the MS.
I need interferon. And then they said, no, Ray, you were supposed to get us a making ceremony, which he hasn't delivered. So he hasn't really delivered. He hasn't delivered much.
He's bullshitting both of them. Adriana meets with Agent San Severino, trying to get more information out of her. And she spills the beans on Tina Francesco, gives the name, gives her father's name, Victor. This is, she's a bookkeeper for this furniture wholesaler. She makes up vendors. She writes them checks over $100,000.
She writes real checks for fake vendors, and her father cashes them over $100,000. Undercover of the Night by the Rolling Stones from their album Undercover 1983 takes us out of the episode.
Tina Francesca got fucked for hitting on Christopher.
Never, yeah.
Probably going to jail.
Probably going to jail. That's what happens.
Good episode as always. Matt Weiner and Alan Taylor. Good performance.
Good one. Now it's time for the Talking Sopranos Ask Me Anything segment. The winner of our AMA Best Question of the Week is Nate from Providence, Rhode Island. Great town. And we are sending Nate a pair of Bose headphones.
We love Providence, Federal Hill.
Great town, yeah.
We love good food, good people. I like Providence very much. If you're in the background of a scene, Nate asks, and your character is supposed to be talking to someone, what are you saying to each other? Are you just moving your mouths, or do you try to have a conversation?
Well, your background players are also called extras, and there's a lot of people. Now, extras... There's union extras and non-union. Union extras, you're in SAG. You get paid a union rate. If you work enough, you're entitled to benefits. You can, and there's people who make a pretty good living doing extra work.
Insurance.
They get a pension eventually if they work enough. They get their insurance for their family.
But you have to take it serious. It's like a job, like everything else. You don't go in and out. You register with numerous extra casting companies.
Yeah. There's casting directors that specialize in extras, and they hire the extras for productions.
Usually, it's done. Everything's done online now. But do you have your headshots? Certain kind of specific what they're looking for a scene. Now, on Blue Bloods, they have the same this year because of COVID. The same 15 or so extras in every scene.
To keep the number of people on set low.
Because they get tested, and they have to get tested 3 times a week, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a little different. Different shows are different. Different movies are different. Got to get tested. But, hey, it's a lot of overtime because, I don't know all the rules, but...
Do you know what they make as a day rate?
I think it's certainly 200 to 300 a day.
200-300 a day plus person. Overtime. And
then you could get bumped up to be a stand-in. That's another thing. You go from extra to stand-in.
And what's a stand-in?
A stand-in when they're lighting the scene.
So instead of having the actor who's going to do the scene, lighting the scene could take a long time, and they want to, conserve the energy, and you have a stand-in lighting it.
The stand-in usually is about the same size and
same
shape.
height and coloring usually, like hair coloring and skin tone.
It's not like a double, like a.
It's not a camera double. That's a different thing. Yeah.
But this is a stand-in. Listen, there's a lot of downtime. You eat on the set, so you get your meal.
When I was doing Detroit 187, which was shot in Detroit, they call the stand-in second team. So like the principal actors will rehearse the scene, they'll cut, and then they'll go off maybe to get dressed. Now they're going to light the scene. They call in second team. Those are the stand-ins, and they're going to light the scene around them. The stand-ins would learn the lines.
Oh, yeah.
Off book and do the scenes full on acting. They were all actors, and they would do the scene like they were performing it.
Yeah.
Which I had never really seen that before. Usually they have the script.
Well, sometimes they'll do
just
both.
read
You
it,
get a little combination.
but they would really act, and they'd go for it.
A lot of times, if for whatever reason, the other actor, if I'm doing the scene and you had to leave or you didn't feel well, or for whatever reason, like we know some actors are pricks, and they leave, and they'll leave you when they turn around on your side, a lot of times his stand-in will read with you.
Will read with you.
He'll be off camera and he'll read with you.
Yeah, that
and you get a
happens.
lot of that. Or if I'm on a phone call, either the script supervisor or a lot of times my stand-in will read the other side of the phone call off camera. You don't hear him, you don't see him.
Right.
But that's who I'm listening to. So you've got that.
But to have a career doing this, you have to be extremely professional, extremely reliable. And there are people who are really good at doing this. Now, to answer the question, when you're in the background and the principal actors are talking, you obviously can't make noise because they're recording live sound. So when you see extras in the background, they're faking talking. They're not making noise. And there's people who really know how to do that. It's a skill like anything else.
And it's also, like I said, it's not that easy in a job. It's not, you're not a human prop there.
No, you can't be too big.
No,
you can't be too small. You can't move your head and just face the camera just to get on camera. If the director, usually the first AD, the first assistant director, handles the extras. He directs them.
Or maybe
and if
second. It's usually a second.
Sometimes
AD.
a second. But if they tell you your head is going to be facing, the camera's going to see the back of your head. You got to live with that. You can't kind of turn around just to get on camera.
And there's also a lot of timing. Sometimes you got to walk right in front of me. I just did a walk and talk the other day. In order to slow the scene down, they got to walk in front of you. Sometimes you got to hand them something. There's stuff involved here. It's not for everybody. A lot of them make friends. You get to know each other. You're on that extra kind of background circuit.
And they'll hire you again and again if they like you, if you're reliable, if you're professional, if you're a good person and that people like. A lot of it, you got to be a good person that people want to be around. You're shooting 14-hour days every day. No problem, no drama, not too much talking.
Now another
gossip.
thing, a lot of people say, you know what? I don't want to be a full-time extra, but I'm finished with acting class, or as I'm taking acting class, this is a way to make a few bucks. I can make some money. You could. They also hire non-union. I believe you need to get 3 referrals or so. I don't know how many. I don't know the exact rules in order to become a union extra. Okay, there's certain rules. It costs also, I think, about $3,000 to join the union. To SAG-AFTRA. Now, some people go, I've never been on a set before. I've been to acting class. I've been to college. I was a theater major. I've been in acting class for 3 years. I've never been on a set. You need practical stuff here. So you become an extra. This is where they put the camera. Oh, you got to hit your mark. Oh, I get it. So that's how that works. Then they're going to turn around. So a lot of stuff you don't know that they don't teach you in college or acting class. Practical.
See how a movie or TV show is done, and see how it works and what they actually do.
Where the AD roll sound, the right lingo, the director yells action, cut, So it's also a good learning tool. You don't have to do it full time, but maybe you do it a handful of times. You go, okay, that was really good experience. And then there's always the chance of getting bumped up, getting a line or two.
Silent bit they used to have. I don't know if they still have that. That was the first thing I did. I mean, I've never done extra work. I actually did extra work when I was I think 14. they shot an ABC after school special in Mount Vernon, and me and my friends were extras.
Well, they have featured extra,
and
too.
I didn't like that. I didn't like being an extra.
Yeah, they have a featured extra. Well, it's boring.
Yeah.
It's boring work.
I didn't know that that's what I was being submitting myself
You thought
for.
you were going to be the star of the show.
Yeah, of course.
You had an ego when you were fucking 14, too?
I wasn't thinking about being an actor then. All my friends in my neighborhood, we all did it because they were in our town. But the first movie I ever did, which was Lean on Me with Morgan Freeman, and I originally was hired as a silent bit, so I was going to pass a gun to another kid.
You get paid a little bit more?
And so it was more than extra. And what happened was there was a part with one line, and I got bumped up to that. And that's how I got my SAG card.
So, and, also, if you're working on a show and you're working a lot, like, you're kind of a regular background player on a TV series, they a lot of times reward you with
a line.
Yeah. A lot of the background on Blue Bloods have lines at times.
Yeah.
They play a cop, play security, they play a technician, quite a bit, and so they do that a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they'll give you an extra, but they'll give you a line
or two,
because as a little reward. Hey, thanks for
You've been around. You're good. You're professional. You're solid. We can rely on you. Yeah. And it's this is a great TV series, Extras, Ricky Gervais, which is hilarious and really good.
And you do your pantomime. Sometimes you can talk, but you're going to distract the actors. And then there's also, a lot of times if you're an extra in a scene where you're dancing,
you're dancing to no music.
To no music or to a different song.
A different song that
because they don't get the rights to that song.
They don't know if they have the rights, that's right.
So that's why sometimes you see people dancing and you go,
what's going on?
What are they listening to, man? Do they have
It's not easy.
Do they have earbuds in? What song is this guy listening?
Yeah, and then sometimes they'll play it for a little while, and then when they start rolling, they'll cut the song out, and you got to keep dancing. And if it's going, it's not
that's
easy.
Tough.
It's tough.
I think some of the bada bing, they didn't have the rights, or they didn't know what song. They didn't decide what song they were going to play. Right. So you see, it's a little out of whack.
Right.
So it's a good question. We've never had that question before.
Thanks, Nate. That's a good one, Nate from Providence. You're getting a set of Bose headphones. Thanks for the question. Very
Providence, Rhode Island. We love Providence. Very nice. All right. Thanks for listening. Remember, new episodes are released every Monday. Please subscribe to the Talking Sopranos podcast on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and like us on Facebook. And right now, you can get official Talking Sopranos merchandise. We've got new merchandise, Michael.
We got really cool T-shirts.
Tank tops, T-shirts. We have our pictures on it. Yeah. There's Steve Schirripa, Motherfucks the World, hosted by Michael Imperioli mugs.
There are very few. Those are limited editions. Get them while they're hot.
Go to TalkingSopranos.com or through our YouTube channel. If you want to submit a question, go to TalkingSopranos.com. That's where you do it, folks.
Our executive producers, Jeff Sussman, producers Andy Verderam. Our music was composed and performed by Elijah Amaton. You can hear more of Elijah's music and the band Zopa, which Elijah and I play in together, by clicking the links at TalkingSopranos.com. Production crew includes Ty Verderam, Sierra Schirripa. We record Talking Sopranos at NYC Podcasting. Great studios, great prices, great people in the beautiful East Village of New York City. It is the premier podcast studio in New York, so go to nycpodcasting.com. Whether you're a brand new podcast or looking to upgrade your show, they can take care of everything at nycpodcasting.com.
You know what I heard?
Talking Sopranos is a Pod Jams production.
I heard that they were thinking, NYC Podcasting, of getting Napoleon's cock in here.
Oh, that would be great. We should do a special episode.
Yeah?
A special...
I'd like to interview that cock. All right, man.
I think it would be a very short interview.
Thank you. Good one.